Welcome back to Oh the Humanities, episode 23, and what a delicious stealth trampoline it is. We've got a special guest this time. Actually, I'm going to use where is it? I got Foley. I put our names through a Metal Gear name generator earlier.
Oh, good.
So.
Okay.
So returning is my co-host, the sneakiest of sneaks, the snake of steak bakes, the gingerest baboon, the most solid of souls, Deadeye Warthog.
Oh, I'm okay with that.
Deadeye Warthog, that's cool.
I'll take that. That's a win for me. Deadeye Warthog, I'll have that.
Playing Master of Ceremonies, and I don't have a character to refer to from the series because I have no prior knowledge of the series.
Psycho Man Tits.
No, it's actually come out a little bit better than that. I suppose you could call me the groovy adjudicator if you wanted, but it's me, Ice Jackal.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I think so. You've got the best one though, which is why I've saved the best for last. So joining us for the first time, America's finest assassin, as decorated by the highest chain of command. It's Martial Arts Mongoose.
Martial Arts Mongoose. Well,
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
I don't know if you sound like a spy or a BMX.
Both.
Yeah, or a spy on a BMX.
Yes, the American way.
Yeah, instead of sort of creeping behind sort of big sort of waves of mud and like buildings and stuff, like, who is that over there? Hi, it looks like a man on a BMX. In this desert, you need water.
Just going over fast jumps, taking pictures of people.
He's hacking us with sweet no-handers.
I think we should run and tell Commander. I don't know. Has he got mags or those spooky dokies? Oh, but by martial arts mongoose, I mean Chris Mosher from the Chomp Chain Podcast. Hello.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's really, really cool to be on here.
Oh, it's cool to have you. And knowing from listening to Chomp Chain that you are a huge Metal Gear nerd as well.
That's right.
Do you like Metal Gear?
Yeah, a little bit. It's
That's
okay.
convenient. Yeah.
Because I knew at the point that Pat had gotten this and kind of gone dark. It was just like I don't know if in our friendship we've ever gone this long without properly talking, because you disappeared. The only way that I knew you were alive was I saw people on my friends list on Twitter that I didn't recognize, and all of them were you.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, I've gone kind of dark on the internet because, frankly, fuck the entire internet these last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Like, can you just, like, not put up the kind of the YouTube videos with the spoily thumbnails that just show up, and once you've seen them, you've seen them. It's like, could you not, just for like 2 weeks? Or could you not write articles about the ending? It's been out a week. Can you wait for us? We didn't get it when you did. Can you just fucking wait? So I've been going dark, yeah. I
will prefix this podcast by saying that there will be no spoilers on Metal Gear Solid 5, and I know this may be painful because you want to chat in between us, and maybe afterwards you'll have to get in the room. But yeah, no spoilers.
It's okay. This will be one big episode of mechanics news. It's fine.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna prefix Chris being on the show with a little backstory for me, because
Sure.
I had a few guest spots on 3 episodes of Kane and Rinse recently. I did Halo ODST, Dark Souls 2, and Sensible Soccer, and was kind of keeping an eye on their Twitter for feedback. On the one hand, it's kind of cool to see the reaction following a show, and to say thank you or favourite or whatever. And on the other, it's not always obvious who we are and how to find us. So a fave here and there might lead folks to walk our way and maybe take a listen to us as well. Chris commented on the Dark Souls 2 ep, I think it was.
Yeah.
Noticed he was part of the podcast and took a listen to episode 3. I think it was one night while I was playing Destiny. Obviously, podcasts are a personal thing, which depends on whether you click the people, the conversation, and frankly, I think the show is amazing. I think it's a bit of a hidden gem, which is why I wanted to kind of give it a plug on our Twitter and even before the Metal Gear stuff, I was like, yeah, these lads are coming on here. So there were lots of crossovers with our frankly ludicrous opinions. Tekken is better than Street Fighter, Patrick.
Yes, it is.
Who would think such a thing?
Right thinking people, that's who.
Yeah, and it entertained my socks off. So yeah, me there in my living room playing Destiny with bare feet. You savage. Now kiss me. So yeah, I listened to more episodes, and it became obvious that Chris was a huge Metal Gear fan. Paddy was now listening to Chomp Chain.
Because I only listen to what you tell me to listen to, so...
I do try to swerve you in directions if I think it's something that you'll like. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this show. And I'm looking forward to this show as someone that knows nothing about that stuff. To hear Paddy wax lyrical, because I know it's your favourite series of games and you've been really looking forward to it. But having listened to Chris, to sort of glue that on as well. Plus... I've got another secret game later.
So hang on, do we have to explain Metal Gear to you without spoilers? Because Jesus,
do you need to explain Metal Gear to me without spoilers? You see, if there's one thing that I've learned from our conversation, that's the only thing I know. But yeah, later I'll be doing a secret game thing because Danny O'Dwyer from Gamespot.
Danny Dyer.
Yeah, but that would be interesting. What if you never played your favourite game? He's a terrible actor, by the way, Chris. He is in a soap opera here. But anyway, Danny O'Dwyer from GameSpot posed a question of what if you've never played your favourite ever game? That we fall into patterns and hype and things, and what if not moving beyond our comfort zone means that we're missing out on maybe something that we'd love more than anything else. So I tried that out with a secret game, which I'll be plugging in for a little contrast later. So I do have a few questions before we move on to the Uber chat. What led you both to Metal Gear in the first place, and what was it that got you hooked? Starting with Chris.
Oh man. Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for everything nice that you've done for me and for my friends on the podcast. It's been, I don't know, really, really cool. I'm just get that out of the way. Very, very appreciative. But okay, Metal Gear Solid. All right, my favorite thing in the world. I don't remember when I had first played Metal Gear Solid 1, the first game, which is odd to say considering how big of a fan I am now. I remember knowing just about everything that happened in it by the time that I played it a few years later. But that's not where this starts. It starts with Metal Gear Solid 2. I watched my friend play it at his house. That was all I got. The first time I ever got my hands on a Metal Gear Solid game was with Metal Gear Solid 3. I had gone to the store to rent a different game, and whatever that game was, I can't remember now, it wasn't there. And so I picked up Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. And so I had, I think, 5 days to play that game, and I don't know what it was, the right time in my life. I was 14 years old, and it completely sucked me in every way, shape, and form. I became obsessed to the point where 10 years later, I'm still just as obsessed, probably more so, at an unhealthy level because I'm an adult and I should probably be focusing on real life. But there was just something about that brand of storytelling and that brand of action and the stealth that it was just something I had never experienced in a game. It's something that I think a lot of players experienced while playing the first Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation 1 when they were younger. For me, it came with a later entry, but I think that the impact was the same. And it was what led me to go back and replay Metal Gear Solid 2 on my own and Metal Gear Solid 1, of course, and just really finally get the true value out of it, I guess, because the times before that I had played it or watched somebody play it, it was just mumbo jumbo, cool action. This guy has a gun, that guy has a sword for some reason. I don't know why. They're sneaking around. There's bird poop that you can slip in. That's what I remember from the second game. Just all these
those 5 days, were they in sort of a summer holiday, or were you kind of playing at night until you had to go to bed and then walking around like a ghost for the rest of the school day, like following?
Yeah, that's exactly how it was. I was at school and I would go home at night, and this was a brief period in my life where I didn't hang out with my friends after school. I barely did any homework. It was just this 5-day period. Every single day I played for hours and hours and hours. It was it was unlike, I mean, I always loved video games and I played them more than I should have, perhaps. But with Metal Gear Solid 3, there was just something different. I remember the sniper battle with the End, that character, taking me 3 hours to complete. Because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't want to look it up. I don't think I looked things up back then. The internet wasn't exactly what it is today. So just trying to figure out through trial and error what I was supposed to do, sneaking through multiple maps to try and locate this sniper hiding somewhere who's moving around, and it was just the experience of it just it blew me away.
Do you think that's a bit of a lost art, the games being a little bit obtuse? And I remember, if I got stuck on a bit that I wasn't sure about, I'd have to wait for a magazine or
right.
Some sort of special. And when you saw that, and it'd be like, the maps to such and such, or how to get beyond this level, you'd be like, oh my god, just like holding this Ark of the Covenant with pages so in your hand, just running up to the newsagent as if like, not even language, just like throwing some chains down, and then hold on, I can do Foley on this, then leaving the shop. Do you think that's a lost art then, like that level
in a way. I appreciate that things are not as obtuse and that you don't have to pull your hair out to accomplish certain things in games, but that mystery and I think the conversations that would evolve around that, or just the thought that would go into it on personal levels, that is gone. And I believe there was an art, and I think it's never going to be like it was. There are still developers out there who are trying their best to add challenges or little secrets, I think, that help keep that alive. But it's a lost art for sure.
So was it the first game that you saw your friends playing, or was it 2 or?
I really don't remember when I played Metal Gear Solid 1. All I remember is that I knew it all when I was playing it myself, which is strange. I played so many games at friends' houses and stuff. But yeah, it was Metal Gear Solid 2. I knew who Solid Snake was going into that, so I guess I had some former knowledge.
Yeah.
It was seeing Solid Snake, and then this other fellow, Raiden, comes along with his blonde hair and his skin tight suit. Well, I guess they all have skin tight suits.
Yeah.
But it was
that Pliskin dick. Who knows who that could be?
Sure. No idea. But yeah.
So what did you to jump back, because we tickled into Raiden? That seemed Metal Gear Solid 2 seems to be quite a testy subject with lots of people. Some people loved the Raiden stuff, some people didn't. Some people hated the game. What, seeing as you've gone back, I presume, and played all of them now, what did you make of that to bounce
Metal
back
Gear
in
Solid
the
2 it's an outstanding game. I think that the only reason people would have been disappointed, and this is something that I personally couldn't have experienced, but it's the wait between Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2, the anticipation of being able to play as Solid Snake again, and then being disappointed when they didn't get to. But in retrospect, with the entire series, now you can play as Snake in all of these other games. This one part where you're playing as another character, I think it fits in very well. I think it actually breaks things up very well. And Solid Snake is still the coolest character in that game. He's the one factor that the Patriots couldn't predict. He's the little, I don't know, he messes everything up for them. And he's still the coolest character, I just got to say that. But I love Metal Gear Solid 2. It's not my favorite, but I think it's an outstanding game, and it hurts me a little bit to hear people say that they don't like it.
Well, I'm glad you said that Snake is still the coolest in it, because that's the point of you being Raiden. I remember there was a bonus disc you got with, I think it was the subsistence version of Metal Gear 2 on PS2, or it was like the special edition of the first one. And it was an interview with Kojima, and he was saying about, in Metal Gear Solid 1, you got to be Snake and see how cool Snake was and what he could do. But then in number 2, because you play as Raiden, you're sort of seeing him from a different angle that you usually would. So you see him doing different stuff that is still cool, but you'd never be able to do, it's sort of more like kind of planning and, being a smart, cool guy. Stuff you'd never be able to play in a game. So you're sort of seeing how cool Snake is from a different angle. So Raiden's whole point is to make Snake look cool. Which is fine.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of being the guy running around under the cardboard box, you get to see Snake run around in a cardboard box and see how ridiculous it looks and still how cool it is.
Yeah. How does no one see you? You're so good at this.
So what about you then, Pad? It's a question that I've never asked you. As to what led you into it.
Let's just dig back into the past here a bit. into the long distant time of what 1999 when Metal Gear 1 came out, or 1998, something like that.
All right, Prince, calm down.
I think I was about 12 or 13. I was 12 or 13. I was well entrenched in my PS1. I got my PS1 when I was about 11. Was getting the PlayStation magazine and kind of trying out all the demos. I remember getting Tekken 3 one year. Got the demo for that. I was like, well, I need that now. The demo that was just Tekken 3 on the whole demo disc. So you paid £5 for the magazine and just Tekken 3. And it felt special. It was like, yeah, of course it is. It's worth it. But I remember the magazine getting really hyped for Metal Gear Solid, and I was like, don't know what that is. It's a game where you run around a bit, I guess, and hide. What? Because I was young and stupid, and didn't really know what games were about when I was young and stupid. I just used to play things like Ridge Racer, which is not saying Ridge Racer's bad. I love Ridge Racer, but it was like I used to play very obvious games. And Metal Gear starts coming out, and you're reading these articles going, what's this game about? Hiding? What? It was unusual. I didn't get it. I'd never played a game like that before.
There was a fair amount of hype around it in the same way as Final Fantasy VII was all over the back of comics.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Metal Gear 1 was all over the back of comics, and people were going like, oh my god, you can play as like a spy, and look at the graphics, they're amazing, because they were at the time, obviously.
Oh god, yeah. They were incredible at the time. And then, again, I think a demo came down with the magazine. And it was one of those things that, once I had my hands on it, and within about, I would say, probably a minute, I was sold. Like, sold. Mm-hmm. I think I must have played that demo for probably... I must have gone through it at least 15, 20 times, easy, in a row.
What did it contain?
It contained the first couple of areas, I think up to the back of the heliport. I can't remember if you got to go in the heliport or not. Or was it up to the DARPA chief? It might have been up to the DARPA chief. It was a fairly meaty demo, if I remember rightly.
Really?
Metal Gear demos tend to be that big. I know the demo for Metal Gear 2 you got with Zone of the Enders went up to the Olga fight, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I remember a magazine came out with a strategy guide for the demo, and it would show you all the things you could do. And it's like, there is 5 pages in this magazine about a demo. What? So I was sold on Metal Gear. I loved it. However, because I was 12... the game was a 15 when it came out. And
was it really?
It was. I believe it was, yeah. I don't think I was able to go into a shop and just buy it. Besides, I didn't have 40 quid because I was a small child. So it took me, I would say, I believe it was almost a year before I finally actually got it. And I went into my local kind of like dodgy shop. Channel Satellites, it's gone but not forgotten. And I traded, this is the best trade I've ever made in a video game shop. Best trade I've ever made. It was the Fantastic Four game for the PS1, which was a side-scrolling kind of beat-em-up type thing. It was bad. And a copy of Rascal for the PS1. Oh, yes.
Rascal.
Rascal. It was a terrible, shocking game about a small boy in a purple t-shirt who shot bubbles at shit. It didn't work. Didn't control. It made me angry. I never beat the first level. Yeah. Type furiously with your Foley.
Yeah, I just have.
They are two considered to be incredibly bad games. The Fantastic Four game had a wonderful bug where, because it was technically made to be a 4-player co-op game, the other 3 would follow you around. But the 3 AIs were so stupid, they would stand under the kind of the crushing machines and not walk through them and burn through all your lives. And that's where the game would end for me. I could get 60% in and then not be able to get any further because the AI were killing themselves.
On Google, the first 2 searches are Rascal brackets video game Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, as you'd imagine.
Obviously.
The second one, it just leaps straight to a video and it says, the worst PlayStation game ever made, Rascal review.
It really, really was. It was shock. So I traded those in for a copy of Metal Gear Solid. The greatest trade that I have ever made in my life for anything. And I think this was the start of a summer holiday. I must have banged through that about 12 times over the one summer holiday, just back to back. I didn't play anything else. It was just Metal Gear, Metal Gear, Metal Gear, Metal Gear. I remember buying a strategy guide, like one of the little kind of book-sized ones you get with the magazines, like little tips printed on toilet paper.
I had one of those for Metroid Prime, I think.
And I just remember losing myself in it for weeks and weeks at a time. And like, I don't think I ever remember playing a game before Metal Gear 1 that kind of like... that made me think, actually, games can be more than just drive the car and shoot the man. Like, I used to just drive the car and shoot the man. I mean, that's what games were. But it's like, wow, this can actually, they can have stories. I mean, they're incomprehensible at first, but they can have stories. They can be about things other than just shoot the man. Like, it killed me. It floored me. The whole presentation.
Did the story kind of really resonate in the same sort of way that, people saw something in those, like Final Fantasy VII and, then backwards as it was that point. But I remember Final Fantasy VII being the first to punch on through with a degree of hype that I'd not seen about. It was the first game I ever saw advertised on telly.
Wow.
Which was
really?
It just, we're at this point now where we see game advertisements all the time, but this was a point where I'm sure it was something like 9 o'clock on Channel 4 on a Friday night, and suddenly it was like, oh, this is for me. And you just sort of stopped breathing because you just, I don't know, it was still considered sort of a little bit of a niche, I guess. And I know the PlayStation was drawing in people that hadn't played games before, and it just really took me back. And it was that opening sequence from Final Fantasy VII. It was what? So it just felt really special to see that sort of thing on telly. So.
And that's the sort of thing that, seeing the gameplay videos and stuff for Metal Gear did for me. I mean, the first thing I saw of it in motion was, I think, again, the demo disc used to give you videos as well you could watch. Back when, oh my God, a video on a CD, what?
On a magazine?
On a magazine, and I get to watch it for 2 minutes and then watch it again.
Like a stack of a sandwich.
Yeah.
It's a magazine and a tips book and a DVD.
And a video with stuff that doesn't actually happen in the game in it. It was brilliant. Sort of stood there letting off, I think it was setting off something in the region of about 40 pieces of C4. Literally laying them over the entire map and then just going boom, 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 boom. You can't do that in the game. You can't get that kind of angle and see that. You can probably put that much C4 down, but you'll never see it all. But yeah, it was like, it was like sizzle. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready for this. And then when I tried the demo, I was like, yeah, really good. And obviously being a poor 12-year-old, there's only so much you can do. But I remember from then, it just became just Game of Forever pretty much there and then. And it still, I don't think, has been topped for me.
So what were your expectations going into Metal Gear Solid 5, Chris?
Oh, boy. My level of hype, I think, I was afraid that it was too high. I was afraid that I would immediately be disappointed because I have been living and breathing and eating Metal Gear Solid 5 for the last, I don't know, year at least. More than that, but these last few months have really, really tightened their grip on me.
Because you super got into Ground Zeroes, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't expect to. I played that actually probably a month after it released, and played it through once, didn't care, and then when I got a PS4, it's not that I didn't care. That was a little bit too blasé. But when I got a PS4, I got it again for PS4 and decided to replay it and became completely obsessed, as I had with every other Metal Gear game in my life. It's small, of course. It's a very small area to move around in, and there's not a lot to do. But I found myself pouring hours and hours and hours into it because I wanted to collect all of the cassette tapes and hear all of the backstory and rescue all of the prisoners in random places and different levels when that's not your objective. And that has now paid off in the Phantom Pain. You can load your save from Ground Zeroes and reap the benefits of playing. Or you can load your save in Phantom Pain and reap the benefits from Ground Zeroes.
I regret not going that deep in Ground Zeroes because all the cool stuff people bring across. I think I got something like 12% completion in Ground Zeroes. I never got into it that much.
It was a strange one at the time when that was releasing because I often think that there's quite a divide between the way that British outlets cover stuff and US outlets cover stuff.
Very, very.
And you saw over here like Rich Stanton going into like rapturous detail about why this was a brilliant game, why there was so much to it, why he kept coming back, why there was there was a certain percentage that he'd done, and he wanted to keep being returning to this world and being drawn into it and stuff. And then from the American sites, it was like, you can finish this game in 12 minutes.
That's all anybody seemed to care about. Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, the contrast between seeing somebody writing in such wondrous, rapturous detail, like old school music journalists used to do when, you might not be able to get a record or, there was a certain mystique around a band and you didn't even know if they'd come to your town. But seeing somebody write that rapturously and with so much love about a game was a joy to behold, and then to see these kind of little crappy clickbait sound bites on the other side of things was really bizarre.
It was like, no, it sucks, it's too short, don't buy it.
To be fair, the price point was a bit silly, I thought.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was, what, £25 when it came out here?
If you want
but again, there was the understanding that by a lot of folks that if they needed to raise a little bit more money for Metal Gear Solid 5, fair enough. And if this was, a slice of the gameplay or something that they wanted to test out on people, fair enough. But I remember at the time saying to you that I'd imagine this will be on PlayStation Plus about 4 months before it comes out. And why are they charging for a demo? And it's like, what if they need to? If there was that much crap going on at Konami even back then, and if they needed to raise a bit more money to finish what was eventually the Phantom Pain, then even as an outsider, I'd say, yeah, fair enough. You preach it to the converted. You don't have to buy it at that price. Nobody's forcing you at gunpoint.
Yeah, but if you're a Metal Gear fan, you are being forced at gunpoint because it's Metal Gear and you need to put it in you.
But surely that's a non-decision then, because we've all bought stuff for our shelves, whether it be art books or toys or whatever it might be.
19 copies of Dark Souls.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I don't understand what the issue was with that as an outsider looking in. I'd imagine from most Metal Gear fans, it'd be like, yeah.
Okay, well for me, like, so when I would pay £30-40 for the new Metal Gear game, I know that I'd go through it like at least 4 or 5 times in a row. I've done that with every Metal Gear. I've gone through it at least 4 or 5 times constantly. That's been the thing. I don't think that's going to happen with Phantom Pains. It's too fucking big. But generally, I tend to bash through them, 3 or 4 times.
At least you can replay the mission, so you can get that.
Exactly. I'll get a good month out of it. I'll solidly get a month out of it. I think the problem with Ground Zero is I didn't really click with it straight away. I went through it once. It's like 2 hours. Okay, I'm done for a while, and then I just kind of put it down. I didn't feel the urge to go back to it again.
But is that in the same way as?
But then if you think that was £25, that was 12.5. That was £12.50 an hour. That's quite a lot of money for a bit of video game. And maybe if it come out at like 15 straight away, I don't think there would have been anywhere near the amount of backlash. But I mean, £25. We've had this discussion about the Taken King DLC being £40. Like, sure, there's quite a bit of game there, but it's quite a bit of a step. Like, it's a bit of an asking price.
Well, I think with the Taken King, we've got US versus UK prices, which are insane.
Double it and add 10.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the people that wanted it straight away can donate. I mean, we've seen people putting money into Kickstart, for fuck's sake. If you're donating towards Metal Gear Solid 5 by getting a piece of the game before it comes out, if you'd have put that on Kickstarter, most people would have chucked in for it.
I don't know. With the idea that you then get the full game when you're finished.
No, that you were just supporting sort of the final push of the game. I don't know.
I mean, essentially, it's made. Well, I mean, I didn't pay £25 for Ground Zeroes. I got it for about a tenner on a Plus sale a while ago. But I think it puts the price of the full Metal Gear 5 experience at, if you bought it new, £75, which is fine. It's a massive set of games. I just don't know. I just think that the split was a bit odd. I mean, it's fine. There's a lot of game in Ground Zeroes. There's a lot of game, but you have to be willing to go back and play the same area again and again and really sort of get in and rip those kind of mechanics apart. Which I think just having the one map, as big as it was, I didn't feel the compulsion to go back and explore that map more. Like, I got everything I wanted out of it. Like, I've had my experience. I've got my weird Metal Gear story bit out the way. Give me something kind of new to go and do. And that's why I'm stuck in Phantom Pain, because there's so freaking much of it. Like, there's always something new to find.
There's a good chance that you've got so much of it because of Ground Zeroes. I'd
Maybe.
wager.
I mean, I can see that. There's definitely good. It's definitely been good to see some of the mechanics like change. Like the way you call the helicopter, for instance, is just so much easier. Very much easier.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Just map, press down, X, like so easy. Whereas on Ground Zeroes, it was open up the iDroid, then scroll across the tab, then go down to the helicopter, then choose where you want it to land. And no.
But I think they found a lot of that out from feedback from people as well. So So, what did you both know about Metal Gear Solid 5 going in? Because the big thing that I've seen from the stuff that I read on Twitter and the articles that I've read is that a lot of people were quite taken aback by the sort of game that it was, of how big, the lack of cutscenes and the way, I don't know, this just seems to be like a stupendous amount of nuance in there. I mean, I was listening to the Video Gamer podcast the other day, and Steve Burns was saying that you can use the cassettes against the enemy.
Yes.
And they said that if you go into a toilet and hide, that you're told that the enemy could go and find you. But if you play a cassette of somebody having violent shit, like the enemy will run in a different direction. Or there's something called an Afghan lullaby.
Yep.
And if you play that cassette, it will lull the enemy to sleep. What?
Yeah.
This is news to me. Both of these things are news to me.
No, I discovered those about a day ago, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems to be more and more stuff that people are finding out about the game, and more ways to play it. Like I saw Steve Burns from Video Gamer on a stream, and he was sort of sneaking around, and people were like, "Oh, go full Rambo," and he was doing stuff like attaching loads of sort of C4 to a Jeep and then driving it into an area and waiting to be spotted, and then jumping out of the Jeep and watching it explode, and just all of these little variations just seem really cool. And I was wondering, as a Metal Gear fan, would you rather have something as focused as I presume the previous games were in comparison, or do you miss the cutscenes, or what did you know going in?
Well, the cutscenes are still there. The cutscenes are still there. They're just spread apart now because the game is. I mean, I don't know what you think, Chris, but it's so much bigger. Like, it's vast. Like, looking at how fast I've been going through it, I think it's going to clock about 100 hours at the end, which, for me, is longer than the entire time it took me to go through the entire rest of the series in the run-up to playing Phantom Pain, which is crazy pants when you think about it. Yeah. Fucking crazy pants. And, the weird is still there. I mean, I'm kind of balls deep up to about mission 30-ish now, which is about just getting to the 2/3 of the way points through the game. And yeah, the cutscenes are still there. Don't worry. Like, the Metal Gear weird has not gone away. It's there. A lot of it you'll get from listening to the cassette tapes. It fills in the backstory bits, things that you'd normally get from the long-winded codec conversations. You can just listen to them in the background while you're running around now, which is... I never thought.
I've heard a few people that have, when they play a cassette, kind of just stop and take it all in.
Oh, I use it when I'm running around my home base, when I'm on one of the long, running between the long platforms. I'll put them on then and just kind of jog between them.
That's what I do.
But you can be delivered to each of the platforms.
Why would you do that?
I'm just saying because I found this out again.
It takes as long.
You can also get in a Jeep.
The most roundabout route.
You can get in a Jeep and drive, and then accidentally drive off the edge like a twat.
So yeah, what did you know about the game going in, like before it came out? Because obviously we're seeing this vast expanse now, and what were your expectations, I guess?
I knew just what I had seen from all of Kojima's trailers. I didn't watch any gameplay footage. I didn't read anything or watch any streams. I just stuck to the trailers that he directed because I'm a Kojima fanboy, and that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. So I guess I had a better sense, or I thought I had a better sense of what the story would be like. I knew that there were the open world elements, but I don't think I really quite grasped just how big and how open and how unscripted the game would be. And I feel like that's the biggest change for me, at least, is all the older games felt more scripted in a good way. They gave you very structured scenes to give you a very intense and intentional experience. This is completely writing your own story as you go, which is something.
That seems quite a contrast to the sort of focused amount of story that you were given in the previous games.
It's like being able to not read the story that Kojima wrote, but get inside of his head and write his story for him, or something like that. You're getting to write your own Metal Gear story. You're getting to tell your own story about Big Boss taking down this or that, or doing this thing and saving this person. You get to tell that story by what you do in the game.
The story of how Big Boss went mad with balloons.
Yes, that's why he becomes the villain. We all know that. There's too
He
many
runs
balloons.
out of balloons.
Yeah.
No!
When he found that there were no sheep left to steal, he lost his mind. But
What's a Gear Solid?
I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
No, what was your expectations, Mr. Pad?
Okay, so much the same as you, Chris. Really, I mean, I'd watched all the Kojima trailers, and then I watched the one that wasn't directed by him, and it felt super, super weird.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like, this is not a Metal Gear trailer. This is a Call of Duty trailer.
Exactly. It was
Yeah,
so bizarre.
it wasn't right, was it? Like, it didn't have, like, the Nuclear trailer, for instance, the one from E3 a couple of years ago. Like, that killed me. That thing. I've watched that thing about 1,000 times.
Hey, me too. I'm glad. My friends make fun of me every day. My girlfriend is like, you should probably do anything else with your time besides watch these trailers over and over again. I'm like, no, you don't understand. They make me feel so many things.
Our Twitter, like, for the entire time after that, you'd at least get one person a week going, standing on the edge. Like, even if it was a big moment in their life, or, yeah.
I think when I actually got the game come through the post, I think I actually did hold it up and just go, standing! I'm putting in the on the edge, putting it in the tray. Oh, the crater, press X to install.
Is that what you did?
It was a moment. And I also put up a Vine on Twitter because I got it like a week early with the John Cena music on it.
You're welcome, Patrick.
Yeah. Simply Games, man. Oh,
Yeah.
Simply Games are the best. My Destiny Taken King turned up today.
Well, that's nice, because mine didn't.
12th.
I'm just hoping for Monday now. But anyway.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, I knew it was going to be big. But like you say, I didn't know how big. Like, the world, you stand there and you look at it and like, oh, okay, this is quite a big world, brilliant. And you think, you go to the base and you walk all the way through like a big open area, you get to your first big town and think, oh, wow, this place is huge. And you look at the map, you're like, I've seen nothing. Like, there is so much to this. And like, you see sort of, oh, there's a side op over there. And you put a marker on it and you check it out. It's 2,000 meters away.
Yeah.
What? Like, and I think, I'm going to run. And you don't mind running because, like you say, it's so unscripted. Stuff can just happen as you're running around in the main world. It's the first one that's ever had like an open world free roam bit of any kind in it. Like,
so the side ops are things that you can do rather than the main mission.
Yeah, and you can either select them from the main. You can either select them from the menu and go right, drop in a helicopter somewhere near where that one is, or you can just jump into the free roam and just run and find them.
So you can go towards the mission at whatever point that you actually want when you finish buggering about.
Oh yeah.
Can you go back to Mother Base in between those?
Yep.
Or do you? Oh, you can.
And it is
cool.
Highly recommended that you should, because you can run around and your staff members will be like, "Hey, boss," and they'll all salute you. And this is one of the only criticisms I've got of the game here. You walk up to your soldiers, right? And Laura, my wife, pointed this out. You walk up to your soldiers and they salute you and they go, "Hey, boss." You can't salute them back.
Yeah, I know, it drives me crazy.
Because you see the button come up with the hand on it with R2, so you press it and you punch them in the face.
Yeah.
Okay, interjection. Have you ever saluted back in your own living room and said, and just spoken to them?
Well, when I let Laura run around Mother Base, because I let her run around and, sort of talk to all the guys, whenever one of them would go,
that sounds like some creepy sex thing.
No, it gets weirder. So she'll run around.
Well, that's good to know, thanks.
And they'll go, "Boss," and she'll go, "Yes," every single time. Like, what? What do you want? Or the classic is running up to them, hitting the square button, which does a kind of dive tackle. So sprinting up to all of our mans, diving into them and shouting, "Morale!" Because they get up and say thank you, and then you get a morale boost.
It's very bizarre, yeah.
Sticking your head into their asshole. Like, it's incredible. It's incredible. Or just like the incidental dialogue as well. When you run around, you hear like your soldiers will have little conversations about stuff, and it's some of the weirdest shit.
Yep. Talking about the puppy's paws.
Yeah, about I want to touch his paw pads, and the other soldiers going, it's weird.
I saw that as a quote on Twitter the other day, and I didn't know if it was referencing.
Yeah, it's just a random conversation that can have. It is, I want to touch his paw pads, and the other soldier's like, why? But they're so cute. Have you ever not thought about that? And he goes, I guess it would be kind of good, yeah. And there's quite a few, and they're all quite a few of them are super, super weird. But yeah, Mother Base is important to go back to because it's like, where all your guys are. You get a sense of how your kind of base is expanding. When you start building your base up, you see it get bigger and bigger, and it's, you can see just how well you're doing by how big your base is. And also, there's some strange stuff you can do. Fights can break out if your morale's not high enough. I had a wonderful moment for I'd say about 3 hours this went on for, we noticed it for. You get a little message up, you're running around the game, and it'll tell you what goes on at Mother Base in little messages as you run around. And it would say, fighting has broken out around the staff. 3 members admitted to sick bay. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. About 20 minutes will pass, and it says, 3 members released from sick bay. Fighting has broken out. 3 members are in sick bay. And we think it was the same 3. Just getting out of hospital, looking at each other and going, you. And just carrying on. Because this compounded later on, as we were flying away on the helicopter, we looked down at the medical platform, and outside one of the doors, there were 3 men all stood there in a line, together. And we've noticed it about 3 times now. It's like, it's those 3. They're the ones that hate each other. And you can
go and boost their morale.
Yeah, so I run around and jump into their buttholes, and they say thanks, and then they feel better. And occasionally they'll ask if you want to train with them. So you can punch them in the head, and they say thank you.
And the funny thing is that the council stopped you from doing that in your hometown.
They did. Yes.
Who knew? You ruined that christening.
Can we name this baby?
So to veer off a little bit, what would you say is, in any of the games, your favourite Metal Gear moment ever?
Chris, go first.
God.
I need to think.
I need to think too. For starters, I can say that the sniper battle in Metal Gear Solid 3 with the end in the forest, because of my prolonged 3-hour boss fight.
3 hours, man.
I never got game over in any of this part.
Wow.
I never died.
God, yeah. I mean, I remember mine took a while, but that 3 hours is mad. And I suppose that's the first weird one as well for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it was so out there, and I know if he hits you enough times, the boss, he just puts you to sleep, and then he carries you back to a prison, and he just lays you in the bed. You don't see that, but you wake up in the bed, and then you have to make your way back to the boss zone again, and it's not very close by. It's quite a little journey, and that's what added to my time.
Because was that 3 hours with nobody else in the house? Or were you being interrupted with people? Because it does in the secret game that I shall mention later on, I'll hear my neighbours living their lives, chopping things. They chopped every neighbour that I've had upstairs chops things in a way that I've never, ever cut a vegetable. It's always like, I'll be like, but they'll be...
The thing is, with the Metal Gear, with the end boss fight, it's so engrossing, you don't pay attention to the outside world. You're focused like nothing exists apart from the jungle.
This was an uninterrupted gameplay session. I remember because that whole week when I was playing it, my mother was very concerned. She was like, I don't see you anymore. What's going on? You're looking pale. I'm like, Mom, you don't understand.
I'm investigating Celino Yask.
Familiar.
So in those 3 hours, at what point... Did it take 3 hours of solid clench, or were you kind of taking breaks in between?
No, it was just it was solid playthrough. I was a much
when
younger man.
you finally dropped, do you kind of just let go? And then massive fart erupts because you finally let go. Oh god!
It was the most relieving moment of my life. No, but yeah, I mean, I was 14 or 15, whatever it was. I could just sit there for 3 hours and not stop. Now no way I could pull that off. I don't have the patience anymore. But I think that just goes to show how engrossed I was in that story. There was that I didn't care that
Did you ever go back and did you ever do the end in any other ways?
Oh yeah, I've played MGS3 countless times now. That boss battle takes 5 to 10 minutes now, and I know you can do the special
or no minutes
if you kill him during the cutscene, right?
Yeah, or one simple quick restart and clock change away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so what you do...
He die because
he dies of old age.
Oh, my God.
So the way this is supposed to work, is that if you save up in that fight, and you go away and you come back, I think it's like 10 days later, and you haven't loaded it up, firstly, all your food will be rotten, because Metal Gear counts time in real time.
I did know that.
Yeah, and the end will just keel over and die, and you get like a codec call from Major Zero, like, well, that wasn't very good, was it?
That's amazing.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And you can trick your clock. You can just like shut your PS2 off, load it back up again, change the clock and go back in. I don't know how well it works on the HD remasters, but you can definitely do it on the PS2. My PS2 clock is so out of line because of that. Because I did it so many times because it was funny every time.
I have to interject here because you said you had 5 days to play Metal Gear Solid 3.
Right.
And presumably, how many times did you finish it within those 5 days?
Just the once.
Just
and
the
then
once.
I went maybe 2 months spending nearly every day just thinking about it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was
day,
wondering, how kind of the echoes were in the aftermath.
I did papers on it in school, and I like made projects about it because it was my whole life. I mean, it's not as dangerous and toxic as it sounds when I say it. It was a healthy obsession, you know. I was very excited about it, and then 2 months later, I finally had enough money that I could go out to the store and I could get it. And I went to a shopping mall with one of my friends, and I went to buy the game, and the guy at the store was like, "I'm sorry, you're not old enough. You can't buy this. Do you have a parent or guardian nearby?" I was like, "Oh, well, my mom, she's not far away." So I went and I found her in the store that she was in, and I was like, "Mom, you gotta help me. This guy won't let me buy this game. I have the money. Please just like let me buy it." She was like, "Okay." And I went in, and the man was reading off why it had the adult rating or mature rating, whatever it was, saying like, "Oh, there's violence, there's this, there's that," and then he said something about like brief nudity, and that's where my mother was like, "Oh no, I don't think that that's okay." And then the guy, I owe him so much. He doesn't even know it. The man working at the store, there's probably like guy in his 20s, hates his job, but he under his breath, it's like, "Listen, lady, this game is amazing. It's just a lady in a bikini. There's no real nudity. Like, just let him get the game." And she was just like, "All right, fine, okay, you can have it." I mean, she didn't know that I had already played it, but I was like, "Thank you, guy, thank you. I'll never forget that." Don't know his name, but I will never forget his heroism on that day.
Oh man, that's
true
really
patriot.
Cool.
Let's call him Deep Throat.
We'll call him Deep Throat.
Use Metal Gear reference. You won't understand that one.
I just thought you were going off piste in the
not
most
no, it's
bizarre
not what
way.
you think.
So what about yourself then, Uncle Pad?
Well, it's in a way that mirrors that kind of. It's from my first Metal Gear game. In a way, I like that 3 was your first one. And usually I hate it when people play them out of order because it drives me up the fucking wall when people say you should play them chronologically because that makes me want to kill people.
No, you don't get any of the references.
No, exactly. It doesn't build up the same way. Like, you shouldn't start with Phantom Pain. Good fucking God, no.
My second time playing
of
Metal
all
Gear
the ones,
Solid 3 is better.
of all the ones to start with that aren't 1, 3's probably the best because it's the most self-contained out of all of them. But anyway, Metal Gear 1, the crowning Metal Gear moment for me is it has to be Psycho Mantis. Like, the Psycho Mantis fight in 1 is so far out of the realms of anything that had ever happened ever in video games for me. Like, that thing was baffling at first. We talked about this a while ago, CJ, and you seem pretty impressed, but there's, just because the listeners clearly will not know any of this, Psycho Mantis, when you first go to actually into the boss fight, he will mind control Meryl and get her to try and shoot herself, and you've got to kind of knock her out. Then he will kind of reveal his full power, and he will tell you, "Oh, you've not saved often. You're not a very cautious man, are you, Snake?" And then he'll tell you about how reckless you've been, or, you know, if you avoided traps and things, like, "Oh, you have not gone in many traps. You are a cautious man." And then he'll start telling you, he'll read deeper into your soul and tell you that you like Castlevania, which is weird.
That's cool.
But as I was saying on the last show, like, I never had any other Konami games of that era. So he would always go, "Your memory is completely clean," every single time. And it killed me because I knew he made references. And now, thanks to the wonders of digital downloads, I can pop open Castlevania, play to the first save point, close it again, then go back to Metal Gear. And he'll pop the line out straight away. And I don't know what the full list of games is that he does, but I think if you've played like ISS Pro, what Pro Evo was before it was that, he'll go, "Oh, you like football."
Seriously?
I think so, yeah. It's mad. And then, of course, then that's not the best bit. Then, when he demonstrates his full psychic power, which is the classic line, "Place your controller flat on the floor, as flat as it will go." And then he moves it with his brain. And I'm 13, and I'm looking at the floor, and my controller's moving around, and I don't know if I could even stand up at that point.
That's cool.
To pick the controller back up to keep playing the game, because it's broken my brain.
Now, you see, to kind of do a hop, skip, and jump to the side here, games were doing some seriously cool stuff with that sort of like Eternal Darkness, where it fucked about with your save and made it look like your save wasn't going, or it was like altering your controls and stuff. Games don't do that anymore, and I wonder why, especially with things becoming more realistic visually. It'd be kind of interesting to see the odd little bits of the unusual creeping back into the controls.
I think the last great example of that was from the first Batman Arkham Asylum, when Scarecrow gets you and you're kind of strapped to the gurney, and the game looks like it's glitching out on you. It's like, did it break? Did it literally? Because it's a really, really well done glitch screen. Like, it looks like your TV has just gone, nah, not playing anymore, broke. But yeah, Metal Gear for me, like the Psycho Mantis, everything about the Psycho Mantis fight from the beginning to the end, to the point where he dies at the end and he talks to you and you take off his mask, the fact that you have to plug the controller into the other ... like baffling. I think I had to look at a guide for the controller thing, but that was it. Like the rest of it, I kind of did it pretty legit, I think. But I mean, nothing has topped the Mantis fight for me. There's been plenty of moments that have like knocked me on my ass, like the end sniper fight, for instance. Like that thing is just astounding, like really, really great. Or like in Metal Gear 2, all the Vamp stuff, because I was such a mark for Vamp. Like Vamp would show up and be like, yeah, it's Vamp time. Love you, Vamp. Be cool, dude. Go on, run up walls and run in water and get shot in the head, but be okay. Go on, Vamp. Oh, you're so cool. Or like everything from, I would say, the middle of Act 3 of Metal Gear 4 onwards. Like, that's just one long orgasm from that point.
Yep.
It's the greatest fan service I've ever seen in a video game, and there aren't even any anime boobs.
None.
It's incredible. Like
none. I made my girlfriend watch the end of Metal Gear Solid 4 a few weeks ago. Because it's such good fan service. The fight on top of the tower.
Oh,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
The music and the health bars change. So you start the fight and it's the Metal Gear 1 music with the Metal Gear 1 health bars, and then you kind of hit him hard enough that you knock him into Metal Gear 2. Like, I've punched you into a different game. Oh, I'm so happy.
So, Chris, what did your good lady make of the stuff that she saw, or was she just riffing off you being so excited about it? Or...
No, she just thinks it's funny how excited I get. But at the end, she was like, "Wait," and I guess spoilers for anyone who hasn't played this. She was like, "Wait, Big Boss dies? Like, what? What do you mean? Aren't you going to play Metal Gear Solid 5?" I was like, "Yeah, but it's a prequel." So I wonder how many people. I mean, everybody must know that, right? Going into Metal Gear Solid 5, they know his end.
They know what's happening. Like that whole final bit where the credits are rolling and it's like Big Boss Richard Doyle. You're like, wait. What? When? Like, what did I miss? And then the real ending starts. It's like, oh, like the soundtrack.
In a way, that ending is just so out there, but it's very Metal Gear, and I was happy with that. I would have been happy if that was the end of the series. I think. I mean, I'm happy. I'm much happier to have a new game to play. But
yeah, I mean, every part, almost from the Shadow Moses bit of Metal Gear 4, could have been the end of the game, and I would have been satisfied. I think, like the microwave hallway. Like, okay, so CJ, there's a part later on in the game where you have to crawl down a hallway that's being flooded with microwaves, and you've got to get down there to plug in a virus to kill the AI, to kill the Patriot AI. And the way this is accomplished is with you struggling slowly on your crippled old man body down this hallway, mashing the shit out of the triangle button. And this takes, I would argue, probably about 4 minutes. Like, it's
not a quick sequence.
Yeah, and you get knocked down, and you have to hit the button faster as it goes on, so you have to try harder and harder and harder. By the end of it, like, literally, your arm will hurt by the end. Like, you're feeling the pain. You're in there, like, oh my god, we have to do this. I'm dying. I'm gonna actually die if I have to keep doing this any longer. And you just hit the door. Thank fuck. Like,
have you seen that
there? That would have been perfect.
Someone's made that level in Mario Maker.
I heard. I've not seen it yet though.
No way.
Yeah. It was on my my Twitter a little early, so I'll send you the links afterwards. But with all the build up to the lore and your expectations and the things that you know, what do you think about Metal Gear 5 being accessible to people that have never played the games before? Because I know you said that for you, you've got that degree of momentum, all the nuances and stuff. Would you say it's an accessible game for new people, or because I've seen a I've seen a few folks again around the internet that have been caught up in the hype on it and have really clicked with it and don't know anything about Metal Gear.
I would probably argue that it's probably the easiest one to get into, just because it's reflecting the way games are at the minute with open worlds and missions you can do and free roam and all that stuff. It's like, that's big money at the moment for video games. But I would argue that it's probably not the best one to start with because you won't appreciate it completely. But it is the easiest one to kind of gel straight into without having to go back and kind of, learn old PS1 controls of doing things. Because we've all done that. We put on an old game and it's like, I can't deal with this old school saving system anymore,
Yeah, but in a way, we've seen that with the press saying that, people won't move back from Bloodborne through the rest of the Souls series. But they have, and they bloody loved them.
And we know many people that have done that.
Yeah, very much. A lot of them.
Yeah, but I would say mechanically, yes, it's probably the most accessible it's been for. Yeah, it's probably the most accessible one to jump into because the story kind of it's not as forced upon you what it is at the start, but you're kind of given pretty free reign for quite a while. Like you can just sort of tool about and cut about and just enjoy yourself at your own pace. Whereas the others are far more focused. But from a lore and a plot point of view, it is probably absolutely the wrong point to start.
Do you like that it's potentially bringing new people to Metal Gear? That maybe that with the build-up of lore and quite an inclusive bunch of people that have loved it over the years, that there are new people that could be finding their way into it that might not have done, and it might be a way down the rabbit hole in that regard.
Yeah, I hope so. Like I'd like that to happen. Because while a lot of the goof in Metal Gear, Phantom Pain, it's different goof, but it's the same kind of goof that the Metal Gear games have always had in them. The cardboard box jokes, the pooping jokes, they've always been there. And to be able to say, look, this is what it is. It's brilliant, right? And for people to actually get that, Metal Gear, it's not serious sneaky man game, with movies in the middle of it all. Yeah, it is. But there's also this sort of sense of humour to it as well. This real sense of experimentation, and it's not just shoot the man with the gun; it's distract the man and go around the corner and hide in the box.
Would you say it's been refined then a little bit?
I would say so.
The Metal Gear essence, I guess, broadened down and sort of refined, I guess.
Yeah, and something that Joshua Garrity of Kane and Rince mentioned a while ago that I've been thinking about as well. Every single Metal Gear game is mechanically quite different to the one before it. There's no other series I can think of, or he can think of, that was as mechanically different from game to game to game to game. It mixes it up every time, but they're still fundamentally a Metal Gear game. You can see the evolution, but it doesn't feel like they've changed it and made it worse. They've changed it and made it different every time.
So what do you rank, Chris, in regards to accessibility and knowledge and all of that gubbins?
As far as playing the game, gameplay, it's certainly, I think, the easiest one to approach at this point. It's 2015, and I think a lot of gamers are not prepared to go back. I would hope so. I love going back all the time. But as far as the story, you're not going to get the nuances. You're not going to enjoy it to its fullest. But I guess you could boil it down to a simple revenge story. You're like, okay, these dudes did some things to these other dudes. Everybody's weird looking, and okay, we're going to go get revenge. I guess if you wanted to simple it down or boil it down to that and make it simple, then sure. Then I guess people could come in and have an idea of what's going on. But
isn't it in that regard kind of similar to Souls in the fact that we've got this big build up of the grand design, but people can kind of go through that game and just enjoy the game for what it is, and just enjoy levels and doing stuff and sneaking in this regard, sneaking and finding all the different nuances without having a story particularly forced on them, and then maybe coming back and coming back and coming back. That's where they fall further down the rabbit hole in that regard.
Which is basically, that's what I did with Metal Gear Solid 3. I had seen the other games, but I didn't get all the references until a later playthrough when I had then put in the time. And it's one of the few games where, upon replaying it, I ended up loving it so much more. I think that's really when it became my favorite game of all time, because I now had context. I got all the references, and it all meant a lot more. And with Metal Gear Solid 5, I think anybody can have a good time playing it if they're willing to allow for some plot confusion if they're just willing to brush that aside and do what they do. But you're going to enjoy it so much more if you have the knowledge of the series. You don't need to know every detail. I don't think anybody knows every detail of the Metal Gear universe. It's probably impossible. I don't even think Kojima knows it all. But having an idea of what's happening, having played the other games, knowing the legacy, knowing the history, it's going to let the player have a much better time. Unless, of course, they're just horribly disappointed, which would shock me. But you never know.
So, who is the best character in all of the Metal Gear games?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Revolver Ocelot. By a mile. By a mile. Mm-hmm. You never know what that motherfucker's up to. Like, at every time he does something, you're like, is he on the side of who I think he's on? Like, no other character is, for me, as, like, cool. And even, like, in Metal Gear 3, when he's a bit goofy and he's not really that good and he does the big stupid thing where he calls all his enemies to him, or the stupid hand gesture he does, it's just quite endearing, you know. He's just trying to look as cool as he possibly can. Or in Phantom Pain, where he's just kind of slouching around with a half-open shirt with a scarf around. It's like, you're trying so hard to look cool. You're trying so fucking hard.
Sometimes he talks like he has a southern accent, like a howdy there. But only sometimes. It's not always there.
His accent has gone up and down all over the place. I think they wanted him to be like quite... In Metal Gear 1, he's like a bit Russian, and then by number 2, they've kind of dialed that back a bit. Ocelot by far, because you never know what he's up to. Like,
is this the guy that Troy Baker's voicing now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think to the Troy Baker voiceover? Has it kind of given it a little consistency, or do you miss the old nutters?
No, he's all right. The problem I have with him doing the voiceover is that when I'm getting the codec calls come through, I often find it quite hard to tell him and Miller apart.
Yeah, they have similar voices.
They're very similar voices. You can tell Miller because he always sounds a bit angrier, whereas Ocelot's telling you about sheep.
Right.
Is how I've worked it, and I kind of like the idea of so you've got this big sort of triple crossing super devious super spy agent Revolver Ocelot who took a year out to tell Big Boss about sheep, and I love that. I find that quite endearing. Like that's a zebra. You don't find them in this area. Don't eat them.
Yeah, it's quite relatable.
It's goof. For me, it's always been. I mean, it's Ocelot. Mantis comes a close second. Like Psycho Mantis is a very close second. But these games are so full of like mad, weird, like brilliant characters. It's really hard to pass them because they've all got their own, their own kind of bonuses to them. Vulcan Raven, a massive man who talks about pulling your ears, like mental, fucking mental. You got Fat Man, who's a fat guy with roller skates who throws bombs. Like why was that his character? Why? But it doesn't matter. Who? Okay, Chris, over to you. Who's the best?
I have the most boring answer ever. My favorite has always been Big Boss himself, because this is the game I've been waiting for because I love the fall of the hero, like a Hamlet style story.
This is the turn, isn't it? This is when it.
Yeah, I
this
love
is when
seeing
it happens.
the dramatic turn from good to evil. And it's Metal Gear makes it so it's never that black and white, but. Knowing what I knew going into Metal Gear Solid 3 was just that, like, oh, isn't this the bad guy? Why do I like him? Why is he like doing cool things? Why does he look like Solid Snake? Obviously, I answered all those questions for myself, but seeing, I liked him so much. I was rooting for him so hard, and he struggles so much in Metal Gear Solid 3, and the way that game ends, and like the sorrow and the heartbreak that falls on him, and I was just like, oh no, Big Boss, and then it's just his drift. Further and further, trying to do the right thing, and then in a way, that leads him completely. It's like Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader, except not acted by a weird little kid.
And then a weird, slightly older kid.
Yeah, and then a weirder, slightly older kid. Yeah, I don't know. It's the most boring answer, but Ocelot is my second favorite because is he the only character who's in just about every game?
I think he might be.
Numbered game. He's not in Peace Walker.
He shows up at the end in the credits, I think.
Of course. Well, then yeah, he's in every game.
He's the only one who shows up all the time, and because he's the best.
Because I think he's the mastermind of everything. That's always been my opinion. Is it, or what I've taken from it is that like all of this I think is happening because of Ocelot and because of Ocelot's crush on Big Boss. But that's besides.
I mean, I think for me as well. Like, okay, so again, spoilers. Ending of Metal Gear 4. But like during that last sort of fight on top of the battleship, it's like, hang on, were you the good guy this whole time?
Yeah.
And someone on Twitter said that the Ocelot is the Snape of Metal Gear.
That's very fitting. That is
And
very
it's like,
fitting, yeah.
oh my god, was he? So actually, he was working with. But then that means, oh god, and then you feel like a bad person for punching his face in. He's like 90 at that point, and you're kicking the shit out of each other.
So old.
But he's so buff.
Yeah.
He's ripped. It's like, I wish I was that ripped when I'm 90. Christ, man.
That's the thing with Big Boss and Phantom Pain. It's like you get out of the hospital and you see him it's like a couple weeks later and he's just like all buffed up again. I'm like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
How did you do that? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, stimulating his muscle mass through massages.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course. And
I worked at a hospital. I did body physical therapy stuff with patients who couldn't move themselves, and let me tell you, they cannot walk when they wake up. That does not happen.
Doesn't that just show how determined and how amazing Big Boss is, though?
Right, that's right. Of course, it's because he's so strong and he's so cool. And
look at me standing outside of the circle and just going like cake.
So I think. Could we talk about a moment in the opening bit? It's a short bit. I think we can talk about it safely.
It's the intro to the game.
The intro, yeah, where so you've just woken up and an assassin has turned up to get you.
Don't spoil too much because
it's going to be general.
Might
this
pick
is
this
general.
up because of our.
This is general. This is nothing we haven't seen in
Some
the
of
opening
this has been
video.
in trailers before.
Yeah. And the initial reveal, it was in there as well. So an assassin shows up to choke you and kill you. That assassin ends up being thrown out of a window on fire. And I was watching the Two Best Friends play channel when they were doing like a walkthrough of it, and it's like, of all the easy assignments, go kill this guy in a coma. Like, okay, sure. And the result is getting thrown out of a window on fire. It just cements Big Boss as the coolest motherfucker who has ever lived. Like, he's just woken up from a coma. Like, you can kill him, sure. And then, boosh, out the window. Oh, yeah, it's Big Boss.
To interject a little bit with regards to, like, YouTube videos, have you seen any of the stuff with that Stephanie Jewston, like, playing alongside, like, her friend, playing Phantom Pain?
I have not yet. I'm going to probably finish the game before I delve into any serious YouTube.
I watched a bit of that the other day, and I was like, if Paddy's watching this, he's just going to glow. Because her friend was like, hadn't played a Metal Gear before, and was sort of talking to her about it. And then she asked, in the opening sort of cutscene, she asked Stephanie Jewston a question about Metal Gear lore, and Stephanie just reeled it off. She knew it. And it was something sort of quite intimate and obscure as far as I can tell. And I was like, you know, you're not just playing quiet. You know this stuff. That's kind of neat. Great. So yeah, but they look worth watching from the bits that I saw. So.
Okay, I have a side question then. While we're on the topic of best characters, right? So Chris, right? You have all 4 buddies now, right? You've played with them all. Okay. Yeah. Which one's the best?
D-Dog.
Yes!
It makes everything so much easier. He finds everybody for you.
He's an adorable radar.
Yeah. Because Quiet, she's very helpful. But most of the time, I don't want her shooting anybody before I get to them. Even if it's just to put them to sleep, because I'm afraid that will alert the guard, or if the guy's got a helmet on. So I'd rather just have Dee Dee with me, and I can see everybody before that they know I'm there. I know where prisoners are suddenly, and it makes everything so much easier. And he's adorable, and you can pet him. There's a button to pet him.
Yep, and he adorably woofs at you when he sees anyone. Woof.
Oh, that's
cute.
Makes
you feel like good inside.
Or when you get like you're running across the plains, and he'll be running beside you. And it rains and he gets wet.
And he hops in the passenger side with you.
Yeah, and if you change the camera, if you click the right stick and change the camera to the other side, Dee Dee will change sides, so he's always running on the outside of you.
That's awesome.
So you can play adorable dog slalom by just clicking it. Or when the helicopter comes, he will run ahead of you and go sit under where the helicopter is going. Look, helicopter. I love Dee Dee. I love him so much. I just kind of wish that the outfits you can give him looked a bit less weird. Like, I just wanted to have like a basic kind of harness on with like, maybe like a couple of pouches for little stuff. I don't like that he's kind of gussied up in full stealth gear.
Yeah.
I want to see his adorable face.
Right. I want to see his adorable eye patch.
Yeah.
I did see someone on Twitter earlier that put up like a little vine of they got a Japanese Akita and they put the chicken hat on it, and the Japanese Akita did not look happy about it. It was just like not getting into character. the dog was just like, Right. So best piece of music from any of the soundtracks.
Oh God, don't. Come back to me.
Hmm. I
Really?
mean, there's the main theme. There's the main theme.
Which is fantastic.
Which they don't use anymore because of some copyright thing. It was too close to another song. I've always been very partial to the Snake Eater intro, the fully
God,
voiced,
yeah.
which I actually hated at first, and now I love it.
Didn't you have the Japanese one of those on?
Well, yes, I
Sound of Play.
did. Yes, I did. I guessed it
Yeah.
on Kane and Rince's sideshow Sound of Play. A show about video game music that's very good.
Wait, that
And
was you who submitted that?
I was that. That was me. That was my episode.
Oh, wow! That was the first time I ever heard the Japanese version of that song. I didn't realize that was you.
Yeah, that was me.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I was like, I've got to pick a Metal Gear song, but I didn't want to pick a standard one. Everyone loves Snake Eater. Like, I mean, I'll sing along. When I played it again a couple of weeks ago, I was singing along to the intro, like with to the bottom of my lungs. I'm a bad neighbor. But I thought, well, I've got these weird soundtracks that Laura got hold of me, the ones that had like the special camouflage discs on them. It had this weird Japanese kind of lounge version. And I'm like, well, that's mental. Let's bring that one along. But yeah, do you know what? I would probably say Snake Eater as well is my favourite song because it's so like bombast and it's a Bond theme. It's a Bond theme, but the main theme is the classic. I mean, it is the one you go back to. I would probably say the version from Metal Gear 3 was pretty good because you only hear like just little bits of it throughout the course of the game. You hear it like twice. Like once when you're on the motorbike chase near the end and the music kicks up, you're like, oh, it's on. Oh, it's getting real. Or the version that's the Metal Gear like Legacy or Saga, the version they have in 4, the kind of the sadder, quieter one that plays over like the real ending of the game. Like that's proper. Like that gets me. Like that gets me right in the heart part.
Because the thing is about, I mean, I know that theme and I really like it, but I think there's something that Hollywood has lost within, like John Barry was once asked what sort of tips that he'd give with regards to scoring a film, and he said, play the theme tune, play the theme tune, play the theme tune. And it's something that Hollywood movies, modern day Hollywood movies, have completely lost. You know, they're pushing up the faders on gunfire and explosions and that sort of stuff when, you know, it's a theme kicking in can stir the soul because whichever, you know, variant that you've got of it, whether it be a quiet or and beautiful version or full bombast, that's incredible. And the stuff that I've heard of the previous themes, it was 4 that I really liked the theme for in particular, but it stirred the soul. It was a proper, you know, clench your fists and like like an excitement, a real build up. And I think that, you know, we can all say we know the theme to Star Wars, you know, the theme to Superman, but it's the theme to X-Men. It's the theme to the Avengers.
I would argue that the slowed down part of the main Metal Gear theme actually makes me want to salute.
Yeah. Yeah.
The drums
Again,
kicking, bump, bump, dum, dum,
I'm noticing a theme here.
Honestly, I'm such a mark for Metal Gear.
Right, I didn't realise that with...
well, we've got music. We've got music. Okay, right. Again, a question for Chris. Okay, what music do you have on your helicopter?
I have none right now.
Why?
I haven't set it yet. I've just been too busy playing. I had Flight of the Valkyries in Ground Zeroes because you can do that. I don't know. What should I put? What do you have?
Okay, so have you bought the speaker for the helicopter?
Yeah.
Okay, it's easy. You just go into your music where the music is, and I think you just press like square on the track you want, and then that will play whenever your helicopter shows up.
Okay.
It takes like 5 seconds, and it's brilliant. I have gone between Maneater, the version of Man Who Sold the World from the intro, which is really, really good to hear when it's kind of coming over the crest of a mountain. Oh God, what did I have for a while? I don't think I've had Take On Me because I think it's a bit too easy.
Yeah.
What have I been going with recently? Gloria.
Yeah.
Da-na-na, da-na-na, da-da-da-da-da-na-na, da-na-na. The helicopter coming, guns going off. Da-na-na, da-na-na, explosions. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Like it's you have to pick the silly ones. You can't pick a
serious
po-faced song for that. You have to pick something stupid.
Right, I'm not going to come over the hill with Love Will Tear Us Apart crooning out of the helicopter.
Oh God, I had that for a while as well.
as a Joy Division fan, that would just destroy me.
Because that's one
Yeah,
of the
I'm a
great. That's the music. The cassette tapes are one of the best parts of Metal Gear when you sort of cutting around and you hear like you walk in and you think, what's that? That's Final Countdown. Where's that coming from?
Right.
Right, drop everything.
Stop everything. Yeah, get the
That
cassette
is one of the worst songs ever made, and I swear in my life, if I die, like and go to hell, there'll be darkness, and then lights will come up, and the final countdown will kick in, and I'll realize that I am in hell.
No, you're
Awful,
right. It is a terrible
awful
song,
song.
but it's
No.
hilarious. That
I've
song
seen
is
it.
hilarious.
I've seen it live. It was incredible.
Bad.
You've got a whole, gigs with the people all kind of going doo 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 doo, just
That's
singing
just-
the doo doos. It was incredible.
Crying out loud.
Europe are a great band. I don't know. Fuck you all. Europe
So
are great.
You guys know I
Jesus
wasn't
Christ.
born in 1984. So all
Neither
this
was I.
is before my time. But
I
I'm
was born-
obsessed with 80s music, so it works out great for me.
Yeah, I was born in '85. Like I'm still what I would consider a spring chicken.
Put on your chicken hat and shut it.
With the
So-
with the new themes, the vocal track, "Sins of the Father," you know what song I'm talking about? Have you gotten to the moment where that plays in game?
I think so.
I was in the back of a Jeep when it occurred, and it was honestly one of the most awkward moments in Metal Gear Solid for me. This huge, swelling song, so dramatic, and it says so much about the series and the characters, and I'm just sitting in the back of a Jeep motionless while it plays. It was so uncomfortable. I was like, I just thought the timing was weird. It was one of the very few scripted moments, which is something I wanted to bring up much earlier. But all of the scripted moments are moments that we can't really talk about. But it's still, I think, show that there are a few moments that have the classic Metal Gear, classic Kojima direction to them. There's another hospital scene, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go into it. That had a very firm impression on me. It's so hard to not talk about spoilers, so I'm just
Oh
going
my
to move
god,
on.
yes, sorry, I'm with you. Yep. I know which one you mean. Yep.
It makes me think of how amazing Silent Hills would have been had Kojima been allowed to make it.
Is it the one you could have missed?
I don't know.
Because there's one thing that I think is very obvious to miss, that the lovely James Carter of Kane and Rince, we've had a secret WhatsApp chat with him and Josh chatting away about Metal Gear with each other, because we're both we're all going about the same pace. He's like, have you seen the bit that we're talking about? And I'm like, no. And oh, go to so and so place. There's a thing. I went, what, this thing? I went, no, not that thing. There's something else. Dear God, like oh. But we can't talk about it because it's this is so
Maybe
hard.
a few
Yeah, but
months
this-
from now, everybody will finally be able to openly discuss their theories and opinions.
Yeah.
And
Or you can go
Yeah.
on YouTube and just have the whole game ruined just by looking at your recommended tab.
right, that happened to me.
Motherfuckers.
This might be a sweetener for somebody to either delve back into Metal Gear or delve into it for the first time. So that's you wouldn't want it spoiled for you. So,
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
I was getting furious with people for saying small things that it's like, why would you say that? Like, why would you say that you could do this particular thing? Shut up. Like, I'm trying to rein in as much as possible, but it's really hard to talk about without
It's so
mentioning
hard.
things.
Last night
Yeah,
I
for-
had a pretty emotionally affecting moment happen, and immediately after I went out with some of my friends, and they were like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I'm like, I can't tell you. I can't tell you what's going on. I just played a scene in Metal Gear, and you need to play it. They haven't gotten there yet. So I just had to keep my mouth shut, and all night I was just kind of adrift,
Yeah.
looking off into the distance,
Yep.
just thinking.
I've had a couple of those already. I'm
I
a
like
bit
the
ahead of
thought
my
of
other
you.
pals, but it's like, hurry, get there. We need to talk about this.
I like the thought of you being so affected by Metal Gear that you're sort of staring off into the distance. Then you just pull out like a pair of binoculars and you're just like, slink, just identifying people around the bar, and they're like, oh my God.
It's just like I couldn't eat. I was just like, no, aren't you gonna eat? No, I don't have an appetite right now. Just slowly sipping my drink, looking off into the distance, slowly slipping on an eye patch.
Okay, so here's something I've noticed about Metal Gear Phantom Pain that I've not noticed about Metal Gear games in a while. Right, so because, as we say, the missions are quite open-ended, you can take your time, you can stealth about, there's no kind of fixed, well, there's not many kind of levels per se, it's more open areas. I have found when I get on the helicopter that I will flomp back in my chair and, like, to coin a phrase, unclench. And you realise that you've been sat literally on the edge of your seat for an hour straight when it shows you the mission time, like unmoving, like clenched and tight. You get on the helicopter and then back in the chair. And I've noticed myself doing it. Just like it's because I find it quite tense because it's quite an intense game. You've got to be on your game all the time. Like, does it do that to you? Does it
Absolutely.
Does it exhaust you?
Yeah, a few months ago, or a few weeks ago rather, I had a shoulder injury, and I've noticed that when I get really tense, I get really stressed, it seems to ache a little bit more. And it's like I'm clenching so hard while playing Metal Gear Solid that when I finish the mission, I realize I'm like, oh, my shoulder hurts. I'm causing myself actual pain.
Not phantom pain,
fitting.
real pain. That happened to me on the
E3
trailer. When they have the bit when the young boy jumps into the Metal Gear, and I just turned around to Laura and I went, and I fucked my back up. It's like, ow, what's that? Really hurt myself.
Yeah.
Oh, so actual pain from phantom pain. It's great.
Yes. Kojima's doing it on purpose.
Damn it, Kojima. Stop breaking the fourth wall. I need that spine.
The missions are very affecting. Because you so badly don't want to get spotted. But I said this on my own show, that what's different about the Phantom Pain is if I get spotted, it's not like, oh, okay, well, I'll restart that and try over from the beginning. It's just, okay, time to adapt, time to figure out.
Yeah.
The guards have spotted me, what do I do now?
Yeah, it doesn't punish you. Well, you are punished because everyone knows where you are, but it doesn't feel like you're fucked up.
Right.
You've goofed. I think the last game to do that well was probably something like Arkham Asylum. Like, the fighting didn't make you feel like you'd fucked up the stealth, and the stealth didn't make you feel like you'd fucked up the fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And Phantom Pain's got that as well. If you want to go loud, go loud. It's fine. The tools available. If you haven't got the right gun, just knock someone over and pick their one up. There you go. You've got a gun now. Way.
It's still possible to get S ranks too without doing perfect stealth.
Yeah. Unless you're a wizard like James Carter of Kane and Rince, who's got up to about mission 20 with a perfect Foxhound ranking the whole way through.
Wow. I just got the Foxhound ranking just earlier today, actually.
Because I believe it's based on the last 3 missions you do, from what I understand.
Oh, okay.
So you have to do well a couple of times. It's not enough to get a perfect, no alerts, no kills run on one level. You have to do it 2 or 3 in a row, and it kind of averages out your rankings.
I see.
And it does tell you actually in the game, in the collection area, in the documents, it will tell you what you have to do to get each ranking, which is quite handy. I've been eternally Octopus for the longest time now because I'm just Mr. Trank.
That's what I was for up until this morning. So
make man sleep and then tie balloon to man. That's the game.
I had a little run-in last night playing where I was infiltrating a base, and I was like, I'm taking out everybody, and I'm Fultoning everybody back to my base, and I did. And then I realized I needed to find some blueprints, and I had no idea where they were because I didn't stop to ask anybody. And now there was nobody here for me.
Oh, I did that with some diamonds on one of the missions, the bonus mings you can go back and do again. I was like, find the diamonds hidden at this place. I was like, okay, cool. Wait, hang on, I Fultoned everybody. I had to look up a guide on YouTube to find them because they were not easy to find.
Just go interrogate one of the goats.
Mm. So what do you think about the side missions? That not side ops, like when you beat the mission, you can go back in the mission menu and say, right, now do it again, but try doing this.
I love that stuff. I think it adds so much more to each mission. Like it can sort of change, I feel like, the entire experience of it. Like this part of the story, my first time through, was this big explosive thing where Snake invaded and he took everyone out. But this time, the story, even though it's just me sneaking in, the story is going to feel different because I'm sneaking along the side and nobody's seeing me, and now it feels more like an espionage movie or whatever, instead of a big action movie. And of course, these are just boxes you're trying to check off. Do this in the mission, do that in the mission, but I think it actually does, for me, it adds like story value to it, the story that I'm telling by playing it. Because now it's not just go and save this guy. It's go and save this guy and steal this truck and do this thing and accomplish it all and then get out of there.
And I like that you don't have to do them all in one go as well. Like it will let you check them off one by one. If you fuck one up, you haven't got to start the whole mission again. Like it will let you do them one at a time. So you can just say, right, I'm just going to do that one. I'm going to get one out of the way, then I'm happy. Does your big boss? Yeah. Does your big boss, as a rule, like do you kill people when you have to?
Yes. In past games, I would do my best to never ever kill anybody, especially in MGS3, because there's the whole thing with the sorrow and all the ghosts of people you killed. In Ground Zero, same thing. Not even really in a last resort would I kill people, but now I feel as though Big Boss, having gone through what he's gone through, he's a little bit more on edge, a little bit less likely to try and save everyone. Now he's just kind of like, well, fuck it.
Yeah, I always found him a bit more amoral. Like I think, what was I saying on Twitter to Josh Garrett from Kenny Rent? It was, you don't start a mercenary company to not kill guys.
Right.
Like, to not shoot guys. He was like, well, yeah, but then I'll wake them up and say sorry.
Solid Snake is the hero. Big Boss is the less morally sound one.
He gets things done.
Right.
Essentially, though, with the Fultons, aren't you just giving them a better job opportunity via balloon?
Yeah, or we're sending them back to be tortured by Ocelot. Either or.
Oh, yeah, there is.
You're convinced to join.
So I didn't realise the true resonance of this until I saw Chris's Twitter yesterday, but and I kind of have an idea what Paddy might put into this. But what's the favourite piece of merchandise that you own? That A, you own, or B, you wish you owned?
Okay.
2 questions squished into one.
Let's see. My favorite. I have a Venom Snake Big Boss figure, the one of him with the scarf on, and he's in the desert camo, and he's got his robot arm and his horn in his head. That I had that imported from Japan last fall, and that was my first big video game merchandise purchase that I really went out of my way for.
Was that the one you took outside in a tree the other day?
Yeah. Hoping that nobody would see me. And they didn't. I think I got away with it. So I love that thing. And then I have the little tiny Nendoroid Solid Snake. He's a little chibi, goofy looking one who's smoking a cigarette. I'm a big fan of that. I'm happy I have that. And there's now a Big Boss version of that. There's also a Raiden version of that. So if there were 2 pieces of Metal Gear merch that I could get, it would be those 2 little guys.
Did you see have you seen the size of the Japanese version of the arm compared to the Western version of the arm?
It's a whole arm.
Yeah.
So somebody bought both. It was tweeted on my timeline, and the Japanese arm can hold the Western one in its grip comfortably. It's like, what?
Crazy pants.
Pretty jealous.
Yeah, it looks pretty impressive. It's massive. They got the same person with a little vine of getting the other one and kind of picking their nose with it. And they got the Japanese one came through, and the finger wouldn't fit in their nostril. It's fucking huge. It's absolutely huge.
So
pretty.
I think I know what Pat's gonna mention for his main, and you may need to still yourself for this, Chris.
Okay. Well, I'll say the one that I want first, so I'll lead into
the
end. Okay. So at the minute, I mean, I want the full size, like the bionic arm, the Japanese one. I want one of those. It hurts me how much I want one. So that is because it's great looking. But the thing that I've really wanted that I don't think I'm ever going to get because of price and availability, the 3A makers of Fine Toys made a what I would say 2 foot tall Rex.
What?
It's freaking huge. This thing is like a proper 2 foot cube of giant dinosaur robot. It's perfect. It is perfect. There's a tiny liquid snake that sits in the cockpit as well. It is the greatest robot toy I've ever seen. Sorry, Gun.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, but no, it came out and it was 500 euros to order or $500 or something like that, and they went in a minute. Boom, gone, sold. And I think the only way to get them now is on eBay, and no, it's unless we get some large monies, then that's not happening. Plus, there's nowhere to put the damn thing because it's so big. Because there's something else large taking up space in my house at the moment.
Hold on. Before you say this, have I heard you on a podcast talk about this before?
You probably have.
Is this the giant life-size naked snake?
Yes, it is.
Have you talked about this on a podcast somewhere?
Whenever I can.
I feel like I mean, I obviously am now just connecting it, but it suddenly just popped into my head.
I'm so proud of it. Well, Laura, my lovely wife, who was then my lovely girlfriend, bought it for me as a combination kind of birthday, Christmas, anniversary present because they're all around the same sort of time. It was one of the promo figures from Metal Gear 3, and it is a 6 foot tall fiberglass Big Boss. Like,
oh my God.
It is gorgeous. It's the kind of thing you see at like the trade shows that people kind of stand next to and take pictures with. It is gorgeous. It is mine. It is stunning. I think she bought it for around £200 which is basically nothing, really.
Yeah, wow.
Because some guy had it, and I think his wife was making him get rid of it or something. And she went out to buy it, went out, sort of picked it up with one of our uni flatmates and took it back to her flat and built it up in her room, and then sort of gave me a phone call saying, I need you to bring tongue splitters over or something like that. And I walked over, just turned the corner and kind of collapsed on the floor slightly.
That's amazing.
Like, it was like, I've had a cool-gasm. I'm done.
What a wonderful woman she is.
I know, right?
I like the contrast that the one guy's wife was making him get rid of it, and your wife to be bought it for you.
Yep.
What a lady.
Yep, and it's now pride of place up in my my reading room at home, which is the fancy name for the spare bedroom.
Yeah. It just dawned on me suddenly. Wait, I've heard you talk about this before, which is so strange because I didn't know either of you before a few weeks ago, but apparently I've been hearing from you for a long time.
I may have waxed on this on the Sound of Play I was on. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it on there as well because I'll tell anyone who'll listen. I'm so proud of that thing.
And I remember saying it to my girlfriend at the time, being like, "Hey, this guy's girlfriend got him this thing," and she was like, "I'm not doing that." So.
Like dropping a hint like a small child. No, this guy's girlfriend's going.
Yeah, but he's actually at the minute wearing an official Metal Gear Solid 5 eye patch that we picked up from Gamescom last year on our honeymoon. We were waiting in the queue to watch the Phantom Pain demo, and they were giving out like Diamond Dog badges and eye patches. So he's wearing a legit Metal Gear eye patch as well.
That's not fair.
That's not fair. Fucking insane. It's fucking insane.
The statue's one thing, but the official eye patch is just taking
the official eye patch. The official shrapnel sticking out of his skull.
So
I need to get
I'm pretty happy with the merch I've got. I'd quite like to have the Giant Rex as well, but there'd be nowhere for him to go. Maybe between his legs. I don't know. On the floor, just perched happily. But there's too much shit in my house. I don't think I can fit any more in, which is a good problem.
Yeah.
So TJ, what Metal Gear merchandise would you like?
Yeah, the robot thing sounds really good. The
robot thing.
Sounds good. The robot thing, yeah. It's not the one that's at the end of the Legacy trailer where it's sort of chasing him down a canyon.
I don't think I've watched that.
No, that's Sahelanthropus. I believe what you're describing is Metal Gear Rex.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah.
Yeah, it Rex. Sahelanthropus is kind of that, but yeah.
But he has a cock. He just between the new one in Phantom Pain. He has a penis. There's no other way to describe it. It is a penis gun.
Kojima's been doing that forever. Like, did these people never see Zone of the Enders? Like, the pilots would sit in the cock. It was a cockpit.
Badum.
Oh, Laura has just written me a note and said the Metal Gear Walkman would be quite cool.
Oh God,
yeah.
Is there such a thing?
Yeah, there is a cassette Walkman, and she's written the Metal Gear Walkman, sexy, was the note.
Well, that'd be cool, especially if it came with like the cassette of all the songs from the soundtrack. That would be
one hell of a piece of merch.
Sold.
So before we sort of take our leave from Metal Gear for a little while before we return to the feedback that we've got, quote me your favourite line.
Oh, okay. 6 bullets, more than enough to kill anything that moves.
Let me think. Probably something like Metal Gear? Because everything that's Solid Snake is just a question. You say something to him, be like, "Hey, Snake, how's your day going?" My day? Everything is just a question with him. So anything that really comes out of Solid Snake's mouth would be my favorite.
The noun you just said?
Yeah, I don't know. Thinking of a Metal Gear quote, that's tough.
So I'll leave that with you to come back to for the end if you want to ponder it in the meantime. So as I mentioned earlier, I saw a vid by Danny O'Dwyer on GameSpot regarding what if you've never played your favourite game ever. He spoke about the sort of traps that we fall into and the pitfalls and the things that we think that are our favourite titles, but we often never break beyond them into something we presume would not be our thing. Maybe playing a title in a series before and not getting on with that version, or just plain not liking the look of all of the games in general. We kind of covered some of the wonky side of this equation a few episodes back when we did the titles that we love but the world doesn't, and vice versa, and the things that we bounced off. Moreover, there was the Skylanders episode of Cane and Rinse that's still very, very resonant for me. For those who haven't heard the story, I listened to that Skylanders episode of Cane and Rinse purely out of curiosity and heard Tony Atkins, Gary Blower, and Brad Galloway speak about an average opening with Spyro's Adventure and Skylanders Giants. And then it went to kind of the cash grab of Trap Team last year. But between both of those, there was Skylanders Swap Force, which the guys just said was flat out magical. Not only a brilliant and brilliantly funny game, but one of the best titles on the new generation of consoles. I saw the starter pack for that pre-owned for £8, and took a risk. So £8, what, about $5? So that was the game, the Portal, and 3 figures, which I was like, yeah, I'll give that a go. What I
How
found
many have you got
now? Hold on.
Don't get the bag.
No, the coffee tape's right beside me. So it's
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21.
Because that's gone up.
It has. but yeah, what I found was exactly as they'd said. You know, it's a truly incredible game. There's flickers of classic Nintendo, classic Rare, in the prime of their abilities. Even a sort of heady spark of Klonoa, which is one of my favorite games on the original PlayStation. So yeah, that was still in my mind because I would never have gone near that game in a million years if I hadn't listened to that podcast. So when I saw the Danny video, I was like, yeah, okay. So I had a ponder, and I stared down the game, really not sure whether to invest. I did research, dived into a few videos and the odd stream, and thought a little harder. And the thing was, I had a game for this show. I figured if Paddy was diving into Metal Gear Solid 5, I'd get Dishonored. I'd had a mixed time with the original. Kind of loved it initially, and then the internet told me I wasn't playing it properly, that I was being too violent instead of stealthy because you get the wrong ending, and I soon lost interest with the original. Trailer for Dishonored 2 looks really good as well. Cara Ellison scripting it, so I fancied going back in and giving it a second chance. But I'm not bringing Dishonored to the table. I have Dishonored, but I have not played Dishonored.
Okay.
Because I made a decision. I walked home, found the game. I walked from home. I found the game and took it home. Not even second guessing myself in store. I didn't do that sort of thing where I picked it up and go like, shall I? But knowing that it would probably make for a good show. And again, I had to ask the people on my Xbox One playlist to keep secrets, and I'm really chuffed that they have. So, the game I bring to the table, good sirs, is Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain.
Yay!
No way.
I did it. I bought it. Played it.
Go on, lad.
I've been thinking about it since you tweeted this last week or whenever it was. I've been, what is a secret game? I can't wait to hear the next episode, not knowing I was going to be on the next episode. But that's so cool. I'm so excited.
Wait, did you tweet the standing on the edge thing? Was that when you bought it?
No, it wasn't.
I'm sure you mentioned something that was a bit suspicious.
Yeah, because I mean the nice thing about picking games up like this on Xbox One, like I did with Skylanders, was I can essentially hide it from you.
Yeah, this is how you hide things from me now.
Yeah, because you know, in one way we've got kind of a little bit of contrast between the machines as well, which I know for a lot of people that are on my friends list on Twitter and stuff, it's almost wall to wall PS4. So we've got a little bit more contrast.
Well, you see, we've got slightly more Ps, and
yeah,
we've got more Ps on the PS4 from what I hear.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it would like got more peas and carrots and I don't know.
And
But yeah,
foots.
Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. I have thoughts and opinions. And are you excited? Because I'm excited.
I'm
I've really
excited.
been excited for
I'm
this.
excited.
Cool. So what was it that tipped the balance? I'd followed quite a few of the videos from afar more than anything. Getting excited for Paddy that a new game in his favorite ever series was almost with us. I watched the Nuclear trailer, then the different ways the game could be played, which was shown at E3,
The
along
half an
with
hour Heroes Way things.
yeah, you know the ones where they did the variations
Same
with
mission
DDoS
varies time.
style,
Yeah.
and going in sort of Rambo style and stealthing. Um, I I tipped the hat to you with the Mother Brace infiltration vid, um, which was shown shortly after. But
Mm.
I was still more excited for Paddy rather than thinking it was something for me. Um, I was watching a video game stream on when they dug out the old Crackdown from Xbox 360, and Steve Burns sort of inadvertently tipped the hat to how good MGS5 was, and my curiosity was piqued a little more. I watched the Legacy vid showing the advancement of the series from MSX through to the PlayStations to the modern day. I bloody love a Legacy, and I really like that vid, and it stayed on my mind. Then came the video where Kojima spoke with folks that he'd worked with throughout the games. You got the musicians, the actors, and then there was a moment with the Metal Gear superfan who was struggling with cancer treatments, I think it was.
Oh, Greg Miller, right?
Yeah, no, it would no. This was a I think this was a regular sort of fan.
Oh, okay.
And he when the treatments were kicking in, he kind of lost himself in Metal Gear again. He found himself a little bit because he was struggling with the treatments, and I think he passed shortly before the game came out, and they got footage of Kojima arriving with like massive bunch of flowers. Like the kid had loads of stuff in his room, and Kojima just signed everything that was there. I don't know. Sorry, I got a bit teary over it. I mean, the way I've lost myself and rediscovered myself and renewed through the Souls games is a big thing for me, and an emotional connection through a listener sort of drew me headlong into something really personal and special with Scholar of the First Sin. So yeah, instinct screaming. I kind of just left the house after that and bought it. So yeah.
Really
So where are you? How much have you done? I need to say the
Right.
words.
Okay. The opening, going in, I knew that Kojima rather loved his cutscenes. Metal Gear Solid 5 had dialed those back in favour of cassettes for the most part, but the opening had a huge 1 hour and a half, apparently.
Front loads.
I thought folks were joking. Were they joking? They must be joking. I absolutely bloody loved the opening. Part movie, part tutorial, but more involving than I vaguely thought it would be. It had me gasping, gritting my teeth, forming knots in my stomach, beaming at how bonkers it was. But the horror amidst said bonkers really threw me for a loop. It reminded me a little bit of stuff that I really liked in the first two Fear games, actually. And I had no idea when it was going to finish, but was double into it. And after it did finish, I was just beaming. And this was really late at night, long since past the point that I should have gone to sleep. Game wise, I still didn't have a total grasp of what I was in for, or what I should be doing since I started. Early forays had me lost in the world visually, emotionally, but really not quite grasping forward momentum particularly. So I started wandering around the map and trying stuff out. Controls wise, like I say, I wasn't all there with it, but I was intrigued. Was I supposed to be going to the area of map I was first shown by Osler, or because that wasn't really heralding any clues? Not put off, but grasping. I watched, again, Steve Burns play a stream for Video Gamer and got more of a feel for it, the different things I could do, the aspects of player not considered, just the sheer fun of it. And I think part of that was that Steve loved the game and was clearly having fun with every single way. And however people on the stream were calling for him to do just different stuff, he was just loving it. And while I'd not done anything like putting C4 all over a Jeep and driving it into an encampment, I'd learned that Rambo tactics were just as valid as stealth. So I had a whole map to bollock about in. I wasn't going to worry about the way I should play it. I just wanted to find myself in it. Beyond the first village, I started hitting outposts, driving around in this honking great truck I'd nicked, parking it a little way before trouble, and then going in to cause some. I did a bit of stealth. I did a bit of stealth, but more often than not got caught. I had to run off, come back again. I got into leading soldiers away from me and then sneaking in other ways. I found clues to the prisoner I was supposed to rescue a good way beyond the place I thought things were going to be. I had 2 cassettes, one of which was this big AOR song, completely inappropriate for the mood and the setting, but I just kept putting it on and on. I loved it all the more for it. I found this massive encampment and swore as I saw what must have been, it felt at the time like about 30 soldiers, and not just sort of walking to and fro in little bits, but running up and down the road outside the building. I had no idea how I was going to get in. Figured out a bit of a plan, and with big sugary backing vocals as wind beneath my wings, I headed towards the right of the building. I snuck. I took a couple of lads out. I was rumbled, and everyone was coming towards me. I killed a few. I ran in the opposite direction, and then killed a few more who were heading to the place that they thought I was. I eventually holed up in a room, being grenaded and shot at from windows and doors, and making this blistering last stand. Fucking loved it. I found my lads, flung him over my shoulders, and you know what happens after that, and It lit a fire in me. What happened shortly after that scared the life out of me, and just had me swearing and gasping and scared, and wow.
It's a powerful scene. It's very affecting. It changes the tone of everything so swiftly. Puts you on your toes.
Especially because I looked at that sequence and I was mortified, not just by what was happening, but the distance. The distance scared me. And when I figured a way around it, the things that I had against me started doing different things to the way that I thought that I was going to get out of it. And it was just awesome. My heart's all over it. I'm sure I'm not playing it properly, but I couldn't give a stuff. Let
me tell you, as a Metal Gear veteran, like, that scene loses none of the power. For me, I was also, like, literally shitting a brick going, why? What? No? What?
Yep, same here.
Who? Why is this? What happened?
I was indeed very vocal during the end of that sequence. And I just think it was, I mean, as someone that's not played any of these games before, in that opening sequence, I was admiring Kojima's direction because there were certain shots that were absolutely fantastic, but the filmic nature of the rug being torn out from under me and what I thought was a little bit of closure wasn't just brilliant, absolutely superb. And I love it when games play about with storytelling in that kind of way. And
do you know what's great? That only gets better as well.
Yeah, I mean, I put it on. One of the reasons that I was a little bit late on tonight was that I thought I'd have a little bit of a Johnny about with it because I now you have to set a lot of time aside for this game
because you have to run about and you have to get back on the helicopter and go back to Mother Base and you have to unload and go salute all the men or jump into them as it were and then make a new emblem because you have to have a new emblem every day.
Yeah, you see, I'm not even vaguely there yet at that point. It was just like, right, I'm supposed to go to there, but I can see a place there that I'm gonna go to because now I've got Fultons and stuff.
And every tiny outpost you take over gives you a new word for your emblem.
Yeah, and I found I believe I found a cassette there as well, which was even better. But that was the point where I was just quite chuffed that I managed to to stealth everybody, and like, even though it was only a tiny outpost, I managed to stealth everybody that was in there and sort of send them back home on Fultons. But then I got to the place that I was supposed to be going, and I looked at my phone clock at that point. I was like, fuck. But I'd also looked at the place that I was supposed to be going, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. And I'm gonna have to go all the way around it to find everybody that's in there, because there's people moving that I can't quite get close enough with my binoculars. But from the perspective of someone that's never played these games before and has just come into the fore with Phantom Pain, I thought it'd be quite nice to have that newcomer's perspective, because there's been a few folks on Twitter who've just been like, everybody that's raving about it is a massive Metal Gear fan. I don't know if it's for me or not. Some might have said that they've bounced off previous games, or and I'm bringing a perspective of a newcomer, but as purely from a game playing point of view, being intrigued by a legacy, absolutely, definitely, but the stuff that I've seen so far has just been a fucking adventure, and I love that. The feeling of, I've mentioned it before, when you get things like Xenoblade, where you get to an open field and you just start running down it, and you feel like a kid in the summer holidays, and you're just wandering away from your town and village, and you're a little bit lost and you're a little bit scared, but you want to see what's over there, and you want to sort of adventure and stuff, and you're as frightened as you are excited. And as an adult, you don't get that feeling enough, I don't think. I think we can become very closeted and very comforted within our everyday lives. And when you get to, even when you go and visit a new city, all of a sudden your senses are much more alive, because you're looking at the tops of buildings, or you're noticing little things in the pavement, or artistry that you might not even notice in your own town or city anymore. But yeah, it just felt like a place that I'd not been to before. It felt like something that I'd not done before. And again, it lit a fire in me, and it's kind of nice that I've now had 2 forays into things that I didn't think were for me, and they've both got me pretty damn excited, and that's pretty cool.
You're not the one who's excited right now. I can't believe you sat on that for an hour and a half.
Yeah, right. He just let us go on and on and on. Meanwhile,
Bastard.
I was coming to the floor playing the adjudicator, and I was looking forward to hearing you guys sort of wax lyrical about this stuff. But yeah, I had that in my back pocket, and Jay Taylor from Cane and Rinse 3 hours ago said, "Did you pick up MGS5?" And my response was, "I'm playing the role of MGS ignoramus stroke master of ceremonies this evening. Excited though." So
this podcast has a plot twist.
It does. You see?
Were you Revolver Ocelot this whole time? Fuck me.
Fuck you.
Oh. Well, that's really awesome, and the experience that drove you to it is incredibly powerful, and seeing that kind of emotional connection with games is always great, no matter what it is. It's always just really nice to hear, and it's great to know that people besides Metal Gear obsessed weirdos are enjoying this game and are still having those same awesome experiences that we're getting to have.
High five though.
Yeah.
For the Metal Gear weirdos.
So as I was kind of on my big sort of rolling adventure, there was, what as Metal Gear enthusiasts, what did you kind of make of someone new to the series finding those things within it?
I'm so excited.
Yeah?
I'm unable to form words. This isn't fair. Can't. You know I don't plan, but this isn't fair.
Just as long as you're not calling Big Boss Solid Snake, then I'm fully on board, and I'm really excited.
That is the only proviso.
There's just so many people who are like, yeah, I'm finally, Solid Snake is back. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not back.
Yeah, but in those opening moments,
Liquid?
they call him Big Boss. They don't ever refer to him as Snake.
No.
They call him Snake when he's in the field sometimes. Like, they do say Snake. It's a combination of Snake and Boss. Like, it's a mix of the two.
There's that moment, and I won't go too much into it because I don't want to spoil it. It's at Mother Base, and it's early on, and it's Ocelot, and he's teaching some of the soldiers how to shoot.
Oh.
You know? And it's the biggest fan service that I've run into so far. It is so great.
Honestly. Although there's a fun thing you can do in Mother Base when you've got a cardboard box on. Because you can stand up and run around with the box on now. You can run up to soldiers, and they'll go, "Hey, boss." And you can hear in your head, "Box." So you're running around with the base as Big Box.
That's amazing.
Which is a completely different thing entirely.
Hey, Box.
But who knows?
Honestly, it's ridiculous. It's
he may well have a solid Snake. Way
cock jokes.
Yeah.
This is amazing. This must be what you felt like when I started playing Demons and Dark Souls. You were like, oh, you're getting it, right? You love it too.
Yeah,
like, it's happening the other way around now.
It's kind of a nice little.
I mean, you are playing it wrong, but I mean, no. Oh, I'm so excited. You're not going to understand anything. I can't wait.
There are so many opportunities for great stories to come out of as fans or as new fans, whatever it is. There's so many little moments that take me back to when I was in school and I saw my friends every day and we would play games at night and then we would come in the next day and be like, guys, this is what I did last night. Can you believe this? Metal Gear Solid 5 can now give us those conversations again. And I'm so excited.
Don't you think it's cool though that, you know, from what I've got of the series thus far and from the conversations that I've heard tonight as well, that throughout the games you've all been given like so many amazing stories and so many amazing concepts and stuff, but in this final part, Kojima's letting you write your own end to the story in many ways. You're almost personalizing it with the freedom that you've got.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you can S-rank it and still kill like 1,000 guys, you'd never have got a good ranking if you'd killed 1,000 guys in the older games. Like, he's letting you do what you want, and the freedom of expression in it's simple as making your own stupid emblem of a horse, like
a hot horse,
and getting excited because oh my god, I can use the word box now. Oh, the possibilities are endless. And whenever someone comes round and I show them, I let my sister, she was round, she actually popped round to drop something off, and we were in the middle of one of the first proper boss fights that you can just sort of hit. And we were sort of sitting there playing, and I let her design an emblem, and she took like 20 minutes going through, messing around with the colours and that, and it's a simple thing, but like the sheer joy you can get out of such a small thing, and like the excitement of getting a new word for your emblem, like. I realise it makes me sound like a complete gimp that I'm getting excited because I unlocked a bit of word. But that's what it does. Or like the thrill of hearing a song, like, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
No. Right. Okay, mission can fuck off for a minute.
The game itself says it best. In Ground Zeroes, in the Deja Vu mission, you can go along and you scan. There's the names of the games in the series. It'll say Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Solid 2 on the walls. And with your gun, you scan it and... the name disappears, and Kaz will radio into you, and he says something along the lines of the names disappear, but the memories remain. It was something along those lines, something very sentimental about, and it just kind of led into Kojima leaving and all that. But you may forget the names of the characters in the story. You may forget the nuances of what happened, or the name of the man who created it, although I doubt we will. But even though all that stuff might disappear and fade away, we're still going to have our memories and our experiences of these moments in the game. And really in any game or anything in your life, parts of it fade away, but parts of it stick with you. And I think that Metal Gear Solid is definitely, it's going to stick with all of us, probably.
I mean, my favorite of the logo ones, and I'll send you this on Skype now, came from Spectral Hands on Twitter, who did one that says Kid Snatcher on it.
Yeah.
It's got a man being grabbed by a Fulton.
But if I remember rightly, it's the one that's got the sort of funky tilt to the Fulton, like he's being whooshed off to the side. Just somehow far more evil. I don't know why.
It's a peach. It's a true peach.
Glorious. It's glorious. Oh, I am so excited. Our Twitter conversations are going to get so much better in secret now.
Yeah, now I don't have to kind of hide it particularly as well, because I've sat on this for a good week and a bit.
God damn you.
Yeah.
God damn you. I mean, the only slight problem is you've got it on the wrong platform, which means I can't invade your shit. Then again, that hasn't worked once for me yet, so I mean, there's that. I really they need to fix these goddamn servers. Like, I need to.
This was another one of the funny things that was there, like on Eurogamer, and they did the tech test between platforms, and I saw on that day somebody went Metal Gear Solid 5 on Xbox One is 900p, lol, and it's like I watched the comparison videos. Very little in it, and somebody was going like, yeah, but look, the shading on that cheek is a lot better. It's like, if you play a fucking game and the proviso for enjoying that game is the shading on someone's cheek,
right?
What?
Depends on the game, really. I mean, if you're playing some sort of, dating sim, then you're going to see a lot of the cheek.
It's just, yeah, I can't tell the difference anyway. One of my favorite games for visuals is Silent Hill 2. That game doesn't look good at all, but it's just the way that it's presented. It's all about the way.
It looks even worse in the HD remaster.
Yeah.
Oh God, dear God, because that was quite funny at the time, because Konami had given it to some mobile stroke DS developer, who, when they were asked about it, said, "Oh well, the code had been lost, so we had to do things ourselves." And yet, Blue Point, who were doing the Metal Gear Solid remasters, who were on speed dial, when they were asked sort of, oh, what are you doing with the Metal Gear stuff? Have you got access to the code then? They were like, no, I just bought a retail copy and we reversioned it. What? But you're probably one button down from the people that are doing Silent Hill, and that's mental.
I'm just thankful I had the PS2 versions of Silent Hill instead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, so I put out a little bit on Twitter earlier, saying that we were doing a Metal Gear show. Obviously, some people didn't know quite how Metal Gear it was going to be.
No. Oh.
So this was yeehaw. So this was. Hang on, I'll turn it on you, brothers.
Fucking Patriots.
So this was regarding people's thoughts on Metal Gear and what they were thinking with regards to Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm sure I wrote that out far better at the time, but I can't be asked to click the link and see the way I wrote it correctly. So Joshua Garrity said, here are my 3-word reviews for the entire series, which is very Kane and Rince. So Metal Gear Solid, the game changer. Metal Gear Solid 2, great but messy. Metal Gear Solid 3, perfection of formula. Metal Gear Solid 4, fan service finale.
Yep.
Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, proto Phantom Pain. Mm-hmm. And then Metal Gear Solid 5, question mark.
I think that's all pretty bang on. I mean, that's
pretty spot on.
Yeah. Alex at Alabaster Mage said, first games that made me realise games were worth spending time. 5 is a complete cracker so far. So, yeah. Somebody called Hot Horse says, it's all right, innit?
He sounds like a cool guy.
I think I'll block him. Lance Goldberg says 50 hours in and I'm seeing no end to the fun. The Law Hunter says, I've never played a Metal Gear Solid game, but all I've heard about the Phantom Pain makes me think it might be the entry for me. So maybe this might be those folks that will, in the same way that I was, might go, actually, yeah, from listening to this. I hope so. Let me see. Sean O'Brien says original Metal Gear Solid is probably the reason I'm even into games as much as I am. Phantom Pain was a massive disappointment for me. Paul Duggan, Trajan330 on Twitter says Metal Gear Solid 5 is fantastic so far. I love that you can go in stealthy or guns ablazing, and either way is rewarding. My only criticism is that the credits before missions tell you who you'll see. That takes away some surprises.
Yeah,
I guess I've probably got the advantage in that front that I don't know who they are.
Yeah, well, you're playing and you see like the Skulls Parasite unit come up, and it's like, oh fuck this again.
Yeah, I kind of wish I didn't know, but it is what it is.
What's a philanthropus?
Yeah, that is one hell of a word.
Our friend, the mighty Timur Hussain, or as he is on Twitter now, the Phantom Hussain, says, I have played 50 hours and I am 11% in. S rank with perfect stealth completion takes a lot of patience. I know Timur said the other day that he was doing a mission and it crashed, and I think he got a few hours into it, and he was like, I'm not even mad. just enjoying sort of having another sway there. So that's kind of cool.
Speaking of crashing, this is a good time to interject. For those who aren't aware, Metal Gear Solid 5 is not a game that respects if your controller dies. It will not pause for you. So you will be standing there getting shot to pieces, fumbling to find your lead.
Standing on the edge
of a battery,
looking for the lead. Let me see. So Dan Beams says 60 hours in. Thought I'd finished it. Apparently not. Luckily, I'm not even close to being bored yet. Love it. In that regard, we had saw on Twitter yesterday. Guy Woodward finished it, and just for the next few hours, he was just like still thinking about Metal Gear Solid. It was really affecting him. So that's kind of neat to see. Let me see. Sione Boy says, I've only dipped into the series. Metal Gear Solid 2 I nearly finished, but it didn't click. Metal Gear Solid 5 has clicked big time. It's like a Far Cry stroke Splinter Cell stroke Hitman stroke Red Dead Redemption stroke Grand Theft Auto hybrid that's far more fun than any of them. Amazing game. Oh, there was something on that Steve Burns video gamer stream where somebody went, Phantom Pain just sounds like a cross between Metal Gear and Red Dead Redemption. And Steve Burns just went, that just sounds like the best fucking game ever.
And the horse can also do a shit.
I can't believe we haven't brought that up once.
I know, that's amazing. It's taken 2 hours.
We talk about robot cocks, but not about horse pooing. Because we have standards.
D-Dog will take a piss every now and again.
Let me see what else we've got. Spug Northerson says, never played a Metal Gear game, watched a few vids, read a few reviews, and it seems like an impenetrable storyline. Well, Spug, I reckon you might get into this, mate.
There is some truth to it. You do have to give it some time,
if I'm coming to the fore and I've not played the game before and I'm just enjoying the game for the game and these cool characters that I'd quite like to know more about, but it doesn't really matter that I don't, because I'm intrigued. I love the world. I love adventuring in it. I love attaching to balloons to little animals and watching them go. All of those things.
Honestly, the thrill of finding a new animal is what keeps me on my is what feeds my life at the moment. Like, I've not seen that before. I need him.
What about Metal Gear?
What?
Justin Thompson says, I love the game so far, though I sort of miss the pomp of the other Metal Gear stories. Keith Sutherland is a suitable Snake, but I do miss Hater's quasi-Batman voice. My favourite little quirk so far is putting posters on the shoebox, watching a man salute a box with a poster on it, and report will never stop being funny to me.
On the subject of posters, at Mother Base, you will find occasional posters everywhere. And Laura has been very much enjoying watching me go around, ripping them down every time I see them. It's a place of business. We are professionals. We do not put up anime posters on the
Take your
mother base.
goddamn anime down.
Yeah.
No, my mother base is going to look like a fucking convention to be honest.
I don't care how kawaii they are. I am taking this
No
into
way.
account. And every time you go back to the back, like, for fuck's sake, I've told you about this. Rip.
Talking to you about this.
It's like a grumpy dad. Grumpy dad boss. Yeah, grumpy dad boss.
Yeah, woke up from a coma just to rip down anime posters. You monster.
I've been in a coma 9 years. What have you fucking done to this place?
That's because while he was in the coma, they just kept putting up anime posters in his room, and he was aware but couldn't do anything about it.
Just putting them over his head and making like a paper mache lantern.
Just positioning an anime hug pillow next to him on the bed, and he can't do anything about it.
And taking
That's what turned Big Boss into the villain.
Just sort of
You can
making his
understand that.
making his stubby arm hug it, like make you feel better.
See, Fergzilla on Twitter says, never managed to get a PS3, so my last game was Metal Gear Solid 3. Also my favourite game ever. So I've been waiting 11 years. Loving it at 50 hours in, though. Very dissimilar to the rest of the series, I think, but it still has that magical charm. And then the last of the Twitter bits before we bounce to email, because Jeremy Greer has informed us that he's having a bit of a tipsy lunch, so he's written us a large email.
We've got a lot of feedback this time. This is good.
Yeah. So Josh Crow said, this is going to sound pathetic, but when anybody praises this franchise, I can't seem to stop myself from beaming. It's a really bizarre feeling. It's akin to finding out my son has won the Nobel Peace Prize, despite having nothing to do with the creation of it or anything surrounding it. It's gone beyond a platonic love to a level of pure obsession, a level that I cannot seem to control. I always scour the internet for collectibles. It's going to crush me financially, but if I can gain a collection that I can tweet Kojima about and get a response from him, I can die happy and skint. Apologies for the barrage of tweets, but you've asked a question regarding a franchise that's so close to my heart. I consider these characters to be better friends than some of the people that I've actually met. Good God, I love this franchise. That's lovely. I really like that.
And I'm there with you on that. I mean, I'm there.
Yeah.
Like, fucking, yeah.
Right, let's bounce into this email, Jeremy's then. So Jeremy says, I have a weird history with Metal Gear games. When Metal Gear Solid 1 came out for the original PlayStation, I was working at Babbage's, a US game store, and was basically exhausted with games. My co-workers were all into it, but I was too cool for that shit. Fast forward to 2004-ish, I got... Oh, Paddy, sit down.
I'm sitting down, hang on.
Fast forward to 2004-ish, I got a GameCube. And everyone on the SA forums told me to buy Twin Snakes. The CGI was hilarious, but I never made it past the first level. Later, I traded my Wii in for a PS3, and it came with Metal Gear Solid 4. Again, I never made it past the first segment. Fast forward again, and I picked up the Metal Gear Solid collection for my 360. My internet people told me to skip past 2 and go straight to 3, and again, I didn't make it past the first level. So here I am in 2015, and during a podcast session with Death Note and Vader Van Oden, I decide, based on the hype, I'll put Metal Gear Solid 5 on my GameFly queue. I'm expecting the same thing. I'll play it for a few minutes and then stop. Except, I didn't stop. I played through the totally nonsensical bullshit in the first hour, having heard that a real game lies beyond, and then the controls clicked. Very shortly, I was stealthing through areas, taking out dudes left and right. Anything I tried to do, thinking sardonically, the game won't let me do this, actually worked. Since then, I've put at least 30 hours into the game. I'm still in the first area. I had my helicopter buddies drop supplies on a boss to down it. I've set up traps for tanks and guards. My base is growing beyond control. I've won missions in the most unexpected ways. This game is fucking amazing. At the risk of Paddy's ire, though, I have to say I don't care anything about the plot. Earlier today, I discovered that you can use the app to listen to the cassettes outside of the game, and I made an effort to go through all of them. Fucking garbage. Cutscenes, garbage. Quiet, goddamn, don't get me started. An absolutely fascinating character presented in the game as a gifted sniper, but the game's camera insists on showing me assets more than her character. that all said, the core gameplay is absolutely amazing. Multiple systems interacting with each other, meaning multiple ways to approach a given situation can work. Finish your mission by being super stealthy, S rank. Finish your mission by going loud and killing everyone in 2 minutes, S rank. I can't believe I'm here and saying this, but Metal Gear Solid 5 is up there as one of the best games I've ever played.
Go on, lad.
So yeah, the nice thing is we're getting this this mixture across the board of people that really love the series, and also that folks that have come to the series fresh, and they're clicking with the game in ways that are maybe outside of the scope of the ways that you two guys have clicked with it. I think that's really
the
cool.
response have mirrored the conversation in this very imaginary room that we're all sitting in.
And finally, I did get one on personal account from Emil Ronland, who said Metal Gear Solid is so good I don't even need 140 characters to convince you. Bang.
Yep.
So fair enough, I reckon. But
yeah,
I reckon we've had a proper natter there.
I'm just like playing the game. I'm actually worn out. I'm exhausted. This was intense.
Yeah, it's really fun to be part of this. But
clench.
Chris, please tell people about Chomp Chain Podcast and where they can find you and where they can listen to you, because it is a belting podcast.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm going to record later tonight for that, and I'm going to be exhausted from this Metal Gear talk. We'll see how that goes. But
Just be like,
okay, we're a conversational video game podcast. That's what we talk. That's what we call ourselves. And yeah, we're just 4 friends. We've all been friends for a really long time, and getting together to talk about video games became harder and harder. And we'd all get together when we were out with other people at parties, whatever it was. We'd try to have those short little conversations. Oh, have you played this? Have you checked this out? And we talk as we go. But it's what we used to love is when we were younger. It faded away a little bit. It was harder to get. So we just decided finally, let's make a time. Let's sit down each week and make a point to talk about games and talk about the things that we love. And so that's where our podcast comes from. And a lot of it is just us laughing at each other and making fun of each other. But we talk about the games that we love and what we're playing and all that fun stuff. And we're called the Chomp Chain Podcast, like the chain chomps from Mario, except wrong, because I just said it wrong, and that ended up being our name because the other guys thought it was funny that I didn't know what it was actually called. So yeah, we're called the Chomp Chain Podcast. You can find us on iTunes. We are on YouTube. I have MP3 links that should be up on our Tumblr soon, which is chompchainpodcast.tumblr.com, or however Tumblr works. We're on Twitter at podcastchomp. And yeah, we release a new episode every week. I think this one should go up on Monday, I think. I don't know, yeah. We think we're funny, so we hope other people will too.
I think I saw one of your descriptions as 4 guys trying to be funnier than each other, which is fine. I like that.
Yeah, it's good conversation, and from listening to episode 3, I was like, yeah, I'm smitten with this. And when I put my boy onto it as well, he was, you click with it as much as I did.
You made me laugh in public.
That's great.
And also need to pee.
We always think.
It was episode 2. You were talking about pee, and I'm walking like in the rain.
Yeah.
For like half an hour. Like, I need a pee. Stop talking about pee. Stop talking about pee.
It just happens.
Yeah, go on.
Oh well, yeah. We're really happy that people think that we're funny, or that people care to listen to us, and it's really meant a lot to us that you guys have supported us just out of nowhere. The video game community can sometimes be a bit hostile, but before we ever ran into anything like that, we ran into you guys, and I think that you're like-minded people, and you've been really great to us. Just even telling us that you're listening makes us want to keep doing it. And
no, it's still cool. Thank you, man.
It's very fun.
But yeah,
if you guys too, so.
And thank you very much for joining us today. This has been I've really enjoyed this episode. It's been proper good
This has
fun.
been a lot of fun.
Exhausting fun.
Exhausting. Right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's been
no worries.
great.
We'll see you all soon. Goodbye, listeners. Goodbye, Chris. Goodbye,
Bye.
Snake. Hold on, I can do that better. I'll do a near and far sort of Elmo thing. Get ready.
Do it.
Snake.